actually.
What are you doing? Start from the top, Danielle.
Who do we have here with us today?
I'm Justin.
Justin. Justin, I'm Ellie.
Ellie?
And
My name's John.
this is
Nice to
John.
meet you.
Hey, John.
Love this style. You
Likewise.
came prepared, yeah.
Shades, the black. You're
I mean, I'm in my villain era right now.
Yeah, we had a late night last night, but so tell us a little bit about what you do.
What do? Oh man, get ready to go to sleep.
Turn him up for a second.
Let's turn him up. Turn him up a bit. There we go.
Get ready to go to sleep. But I work for a public accounting firm.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really my forte, but
Say it again one more time.
public accounting
I
firm.
work for
Public
People need
accounting.
Yeah.
but I'm not an accountant. I just help people look and sound their best. That's my job.
Oh, nice. What do you
Oh.
feel is the biggest challenge that accountants have? I got my degree in accounting, surprisingly enough.
Oh.
And what I didn't like about accountants is they always work backwards.
Yeah.
They're always working, and I feel like they are some of the risk-averse individuals.
Right.
So when it comes to a new opportunity, speaking on camera, articulating, I can imagine that accountants have a lot of challenges. What do you help them do to overcome some of those obstacles?
Exactly it. Just kind of get out of your own way. Focus on your audience. What do they want to hear? What's engaging to them? What's important to them? Right? And bring authenticity.
What do you think accountants get wrong? Because having worked for an accounting agency, sometimes what the business feels they need is not necessarily in alignment with the messaging that resonates.
And what was the first question? I missed. I couldn't hear it.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. So what do you feel is one of the biggest challenges or obstacles with accountants, working with accountants?
With accountants, I think working with them is they have to trust the process.
Right.
They have to know that I've got their back. Right.
Oh, yeah.
How did accountants become your, target audience per se? I mean, there are a million people out there that you could coach that need help. Speaking, were you previously an accountant? How did you?
It's because accountants are their easiest. Actually, no, I'd say they're the hardest. They're the so this guy just likes an obstacle. He likes a challenge.
So what made you?
Well, I started working with the firm, and then they saw what I could do, and then little by little, people started putting their trust in me and my ability. And then I built like a multimedia group. So we do podcasts for them, videos.
Now, a lot of times businesses are created out of necessity. So maybe was it you going through the pandemic and saying, hey, this whole podcasting thing, I see some potential there. So then that kind of pivoted you over. What was that origin story for you?
For podcasting specifically, it was about us meeting people where they are.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's the important thing. You want to show people that you're invested in them, hit them where they are, let them listen and absorb information on their own time. Retention rates are higher, recall rates are better.
So speaking of hitting people where they are, that is what the Owl app is all about. So I don't know if you know about the Owl app, but essentially it is an app where you are solving people's problems, right? So you could create a personal account on the Owl app. You set a price, you go live, and people can call you instantly.
Oh, wow.
Instantly to get advice about. So an accountant could literally call you. He's about to go in a meeting or whatever. I need help. I'm getting anxiety. What should I do? Right before the meeting, rather than scheduling it ahead of time or DMing you and you don't respond. It's all about.
I hate that shit.
Right.
I hate when I want to talk to somebody, maybe get some pricing, maybe get an idea of the service if it's fit for me. But then you got to pay the consultation fee, right? And then you've got to pay for the person's hours. So just to identify if this is a good fit for me. So that is one of the things that I do love about the Owl app is the fact that you're able to connect with people for a much lower cost and identify if it's a good working relationship.
And it starts in 10-minute increments. So like they might just need a quick 10-minute pep talk, right? Before they go in. You're not standing there or on the phone, I should say, and stuck in an hour conversation. It starts at 10 minutes.
Right.
If you feel like you're getting value, you can add time. And then on the flip side, besides giving advice and getting paid, you can go find other accountants and promote your services. Or you can go, hey, I actually need a fit coach, something totally unrelated, and go get advice on that end.
By the way, let's start getting the next one rolling. Who else wants to sit with me and have a little podcast episode, content for your social media? Who wants to take a seat? Who's next?
Tell us where everyone can find you.
Yes,
by the way.
where can they
What is
find
the name
you?
of your podcast?
I'm Justin Domini, And you can find me on LinkedIn at Justin Domini.
Hey, there we go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Justin. I'm gonna
love it.
take you with
Justin,
me.
thank you so much, my friend.
Very nice to meet you. Love your vibe.
Who's next? We need guests. I need people to talk to. There we go. We got our next victim. Send 2. Another one. I need one more. Who wants some social media content? Thank you. There we go.
Who doesn't? Right? Joey, nice to meet you.
I'm Heather. What's your name? John. Okay.
Joey, nice to meet
Hi,
you,
Joey.
Heather.
So grab a seat, grab a mic. Right now, we are streaming live on LinkedIn. I'm a little too loud. I wanted the people outside to hear all this exciting stuff too loud, sorry.
I like
Oh,
it.
it's the Latin.
like it
It's the Latin in me. Sorry, guys. So, what brings you 2 lovely ladies to Podfest today?
Hey, just learning how to grow my podcast and learning about your podcast.
About my bag. Mine are 27 hours long.
So we'll be here a while.
So we might be here for a while. We're going to be here 4 days straight. So I had a little rocky start. But for yourself, what brings you today?
I came here last year, 2 weeks after launching my podcast.
Oh, amazing.
And I was just like, podcasters are the coolest people.
They
and
are.
Everyone's so mission driven and fun and entertaining. So I wanted to come back and, participate a little bit more.
Speaking of the mic, we got an audience on LinkedIn that is dying to hear what you have to
Getting in
say.
trouble.
We're going to control levels right here. I'm going to control them right here. Perfect.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just excited to connect with people and see where it goes.
We got a little line going. Thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate you. We're gonna get to all of you. I want to interview every single one of you.
There's a big crowd.
There's a big
staring at
crowd.
No pressure.
So going back to that, what do you guys feel? And also the audience, you can answer as well. What do you feel makes a podcast great? What separates that 1% from the 99%? What elements do you need?
I like a sexy voice.
A sexy voice is definitely a big one. It's a plus. What else?
That doesn't hurt for me. I want something that makes me think differently.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Challenging thoughts. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great, Heather.
Thank
Right. And how do you integrate some of those elements into your own? So you do voice lessons to really handle the sexy voice?
No, I don't at all. I pick apart my guests. I dig in and I try to ask them questions that might make them squirm a little bit.
Mic up, mic up, mic up. All right, I'll control right here. So you are, let me just check your color. That's what, okay. Yellow.
I'm the white mic.
There we go. Now that's
Woo,
better.
woo.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. We're good.
All
Continue on,
right.
please. Yep.
I like to shock my guests and ask them a
Shock
little bit
them.
of uncomfortable
Wow.
questions, but I ask it from my heart and with love.
I love that. And I
Okay.
feel like again, like tapping into the unusual stuff, the stuff that isn't conventional. I feel like that is,
Yeah.
because the reality is I'm more in like the video land side of things when it comes to social media, but they say that 94% of the reason why people will watch a video or listen to a podcast is because there's a belief that they're going to receive new information,
Mhm.
which kind of like leans on what you were sharing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like experiencing something new. How do you implement that in your own podcast?
Yeah, so I put some forethought into it. I'll make an outline if I'm doing a solo episode, and I'll think about what are the key points I want people to walk away with. I, resource them up in the show notes with all these links where they can go take action in their life and make changes. And then half my episodes have guests, and so I just try to bring people on that are going to challenge their perspective and kind of. I have a sex podcast, so that also makes it fun. But
big detail to leave out.
Let's lead into that.
But so I pick people where it's going to challenge maybe how they're thinking and just learn someone's story.
That's a cool tip. What do you
Yeah.
think of that?
I like that. So I have a podcast about selling on Amazon for women. It's called Fearless Sellers, the Women of Amazon. But I will often bring it back to interesting questions about their personal life and maybe their
Oh.
sex life and all
There we
their
go.
husbands they've had, or make it really interesting and then pull it
Yeah.
back and add value.
I think people do business with people. So at the end of the
Yeah.
day, those human elements, job loss, breakups, entrepreneurship, struggles, failures, all of it, that stuff is international. I heard one of my mentors told me the things that we consider the most personal are actually the most universal. And I feel like that is something that when I do my podcast, it sounds like you guys, you lean into the human side of things.
100%. I'm a therapist too, so like that's That's what I like to do is like, let's get deep. And I think people who don't do work like I do maybe don't realize like how common and normal it is, like what they're experiencing. And so I do like to just normalize it, you know?
And there's nothing better than that. Yeah, I appreciate it. So we got a line growing. We're going to get to the next ones, but you can talk to Danielle. She'll get your contact info, and you guys can Ellie. And you guys can, sorry.
And Ellie. We'll
her
talk to
twin
Danielle
sister.
and
I
Ellie.
always get them confused. All right, Danielle's dead. Okay, there we go.
Still?
It's 2024. We can change the names.
Thanks for having us.
All right, ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, John.
Ellie will take your info.
I gotta listen to your podcast.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Fun to meet you.
Let's do it. All right, so who's next? Free social media clips. Thanks, Fred. Oh, shit.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. All right.
Take a seat.
What's up?
All right, gentlemen. I'm kind of upset because now I got competition in the room. God damn it.
Oh boy.
I thought I was going to be the only one. Like, Jack, dude. Shit. All right.
Not really. Old.
All right. So, what brings you guys to the Podfest? Where are you coming from?
Jared.
We're from Clearwater.
Clearwater, Florida. Okay,
Yeah,
so not so
yeah,
bad
not
of a
too bad.
drive.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not
Yeah.
bad.
Close.
Fighting the traffic.
Close. And what brought you here specifically? What kind of podcast you guys got?
Our actually the name of the podcast is Strong by Design. Jared's hat also says it. It's all things body, mind, and spirit, which is a little bit of everything.
Got it.
We're a fitness and health publishing company, but we started the podcast so we could go in all directions, go deeper on things, family, faith, leadership.
Love that. I got to ask a question selfishly.
Yeah.
For like as an ad for the podcast, have you ever used him as the before photo and you as the after photo?
That's actually that's the promo. Everything that we do every single
I
time.
can see that working really well.
Yeah, it does.
I'm just messing with you guys.
He does grow a great mustache, though.
I can see it. I want to see a twist though. Maybe next year.
Yeah, I'll work on it. As long as my wife's okay with it, I'll go for it.
So one question that I'd love to ask anybody that's does podcasts is what makes your podcast different? Because the reality is so few people get to 100 episodes. We know that statistically, but what really helps your podcast separate from all the competitors? What's that unique angle that you guys have?
I really feel that our strength is that we actually have 4 hosts on the show and we rotate. And the 4 hosts all have something different to bring to the conversation.
I love that.
Past experience. The founder of the company loves to tackle leadership, entrepreneurship, faith, family. I have more of a strength and health background, so I love tackling those combined with some family and faith. Jared has pastoral background and has 4 children, so he loves tackling family and faith. And then Tanya is a holistic health practitioner who loves going, talking about coffee enemas and all kinds of weird stuff.
That's right.
So
a lot of variety here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to say that we recognize that all of these things are intertwined together. So if your health is falling to the ground, it's going to mess up everything else as well.
Right.
So it's all connected. So if you're doing something wrong in one area, it affects the other area.
Yeah.
I love that. And how do you guys approach some of these more polarizing topics right now? Because spirituality, religion, I do feel like that's a little bit of a heavy topic. So how do you guys do that with grace in a way that doesn't, falls in line with what maybe your viewers want to see? How do you guys find that line?
Jared?
We want to be graceful with what we say, but at the same time be unapologetic about what we say.
Oh, I like that. Okay,
in the sense that people aren't apologizing on the other side either. And so truth is truth, right? We're all seeking truth to figure out what that is. And we understand that there are absolutes out there. And so that's what we're seeking to find. And so we want to have conversations with people where we're working together to find what that truth is, as opposed to feeling like we're bumping heads all the time.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. So the unity, and I can see how that probably is in alignment with everything else that you guys share. I want your opinion now on masculinity. I think that would be super interesting. You seem like the kind of guy that's like the alpha male in the room, right? So it's just like, how do you feel?
Until I enter the room, obviously.
Right.
I'm alpha until Jared shows up.
So how do you feel about the status of masculinity? As a man, sometimes I feel a little confused.
Yeah.
Do I hold the door open? Do I not hold the door open? Obviously, I always do what's my truth, but man, being a man in 2024, it's a little bit interesting. How do you?
You
how
can
do you
answer
help
the
men?
question, but I just want you to know we do have episodes on that actually. So if
Do you?
go-
Okay.
we have
What's the reference episode? Do you guys know it or no? we
Oh,
could add it in
gosh.
the
We're
comments
well
after.
into the 300s now, so remembering the
lost
numbers
track.
is tough.
but
Yeah,
it wasn't that long.
It's not about physical toughness. It's actually goes much deeper than that. And I just find that being open and being honest and being a great listener, and going back to the things that I'm doing as a dad for my children, showing up, taking action, standing up for other people who don't have a voice, being strong, a man, and being masculine.
I love that, and you're so right. And for me, like the biggest thing was surrounding myself by a group of men. Actually,
Yeah.
because I fell into the trap where my partners started becoming my therapists. And you fall into that trap. And I found that when I have like a healthy group of male friends that I can take my problems to first, I end up having a better relationship with my partner.
No doubt.
And just to tie it all together, that's the benefit of your podcast, right?
Yes, 100%.
If you do feel like you're a little bit in a situation where you don't have access to a lot of men, they listen to your podcast and feel that connection.
Yeah.
Especially for those of us a little introverted, we're not going to put
Just
ourselves out there.
recognize
You
who the
guys-
host is, because if Tanya is hosting, she might be talking about menopause or something like that, which
that's
would
right,
not
that's
be
right.
addressing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
3/4 of the time, 3/4 of the time, it's a good listen. If Tanya, but actually Tanya will tackle male issues sometimes, which is always cool to get her perspective. Or we'll do, if we're not guesting, and we actually have like a co-host where it's me with one of the other hosts, like Tanya, tackling a very masculine issue. It's great to get her perspective. So you can have those conversations with men and with women, and I think it's very healthy. The trouble is when men don't know how to just get real and talk about these things and just run from the tough conversations and go quiet. That's scary.
Well, I think it's just a lack of like good examples,
Yeah,
in our society. I mean, like, I think a lot of them now, like the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, they're starting to open up about vulnerable topics, their history. But guys that we grew up with, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rocky, they weren't talking about their feelings.
No, you're right.
So,
You're right.
It's good that we have guys like you two, that are giving us an alternative, an option, an example to live by. So really grateful that you guys.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great
So
to be
how
here.
can people watch because we're rolling live right now? How
Yeah,
can
of
they
course.
find your podcast?
Just look up Strong by Design podcast. You can go to the website. You can go where we have a huge YouTube following. Critical Bench is the mother company. It's a fitness and health publishing company. Strong by Design, the name of the podcast, and we're all over YouTube, all over all the listening platforms.
All the platforms.
There you go. So check these guys out and keep rolling on, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Appreciate you. See if I can stand up. Thank you so much, man. Thank you guys. Thank you. And Ellie will get you guys the content if anything, all right? Okay. Who's next? Let's go. Who's next? There we go. How you doing?
Hey, nice to meet you, Natalie.
Nice to meet you, Natalie. So, Natalie,
So,
what brings you to PodFest this year?
yeah, so this is actually my third year. I am not a
Third year.
newbie. Yeah.
Where was the venue last year? Was it about like this? Would you say, or?
It was a different hotel. All venues have their pros and their cons, and
I
so
did like the hotel last year. That was kind of nice, wasn't it? I just came for the after party. I didn't see the whole thing, but
Okay.
I heard it was nice. Yeah.
yeah. So we just love being with PodFest. No matter where it is, I will always follow it. I'm speaking this year, so I'm
Oh,
super
nice,
excited.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Okay, so I love to ask this question to guests, but what makes your podcast stand out from all your competitors?
Yeah, so I have an entrepreneur podcast. There's like a million of us, right?
Right.
And so what I think makes ours stand out is we actually teach you something from an expert that is really good at it, and we make sure it's short and sweet. It's only 20 minutes, so anyone can learn something in just 20 minutes.
Why did you decide to settle on the 20-minute mark? It's a very specific number. I'm curious. Is there any science or psychology behind it?
I'm a data analytics girl. I own a tech company.
Okay,
and
nice.
So
Okay,
I looked
okay,
at that
makes sense.
data, and everyone's going off at 20 minutes, so I decided to make it 20 minutes, and we've been going.
And do you follow like a very regimented structure? Do you go in as like you send the questions prior? Me personally, I like doing it on the fly because I feel like you get those organic responses. There might be a hint of laziness there too, but what's your process?
Yeah, so I have a pre-interview. It's only 10 minutes long. I just get to know them. So next time I see them, it's not super awkward. And then I wing it. So I basically.
And then you wing it. See, even the experts over here wing it. This is perfectly okay. Good to hear.
Yeah, best content ever when you wing it.
Now, what about when you're speaking on stage? Is there a lot of intent? How is it different than podcasting for you? Do you enjoy the performance side of things, or tell me about it?
Yeah, I love a good stage. There's open mic night tonight. I've never told a joke in my life. I wrote jokes. I can't resist a good stage. So I am definitely, it's not different from podcasting. I have slides. I know what I'm going to say. It's very particular.
Right.
It has strategy to it too. So I always offer like a free offer. So that way people can get to know me better.
Exactly. Can you give us any hints about what we're going to be talking about? What's it going to be?
It's anatomy of a podcast website.
And that do you believe that websites are a thing? Because we know internet rot, we know like internet theory. Not sure if you've gone down that rabbit hole, but do you feel like websites can still make the difference? I'm on fence. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. You just have to market it. Everything's about marketing. Anything could be a thing or be direct people to it. You just need to market it. So you just need to mention, like I always say, have some sort of freebie or community, put it on your website. Some of the most popular podcasts have really great websites. So you can think about New Heights, right? I love sports, I love football, and I love the Kelsey brothers. And so they have a really simple website, but the first thing it says is join our community.
Right. Smart move. That makes sense.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you so much for passing by. Thank
so
you.
much.
How can people reach you, by the way, before we?
Sure. So I'm a host of Virtual Antics podcast, or you can check out, I actually have a software company where you can make podcast websites and everything all in one. And it's called Majora.org.
Majora.org. And she's going to be speaking on stage this weekend. So come check her out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Who's next? I need another person to talk to. Give me somebody. There we go. We got another victim. Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
What's your name, Johnny? Johnny. Okay, Jonathan.
Johnny.
Close enough. How you doing, Johnny? Johnny's such a great. It's like everybody's friends with Johnny. Is he a friend of this Johnny, or a little bit of a rebel? Where? How was he as a kid?
As a kid?
As a kid, yeah.
Oh, not too bad. Pretty laid back.
Laid back, yeah.
Yeah, kind of developed into a little more of a Class A personality. So
How did and what was the breakthrough moment with that transformation? What happened?
well, I think you just come to a place where you start operating in the gifts and the callings that you've been given. And part of that is just, I'm a friendly guy. I like talking to people. I like to encourage people. I like to build people up. You know, recognize that everybody has something that they're capable of doing and their purpose in life. So I'm really trying to be an encourager to point that out.
I love that. And I feel like because I work in digital marketing and I help people kind of build their personal brands. And I feel like this happens so often. You know, it's almost as if people play the same cassette tape in their head year after year, time after time, like reliving memories that forget how special those memories actually are.
A lot of people have a lot of good memories. A lot of people have a lot of bad memories, you know. And in our podcast, Refuge Freedom Stories, we share people's stories of faith and their faith journey. And we've interviewed everybody from crack addicts to Major League Baseball managers who won the World Series.
Wow.
Heard in 78 countries. And they are inspiring, you know. And I just feel blessed and honored to be a part of that, to help people realize that God is there, that God does love them and has a purpose for their life.
Was there one story in particular, whether in your journey or someone else's, that really just reinforced your beliefs? Anything that happened that really just got you to feel like, wow, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be?
Well, you know what? It's so interesting. I saw the previous question you asked the previous guest about, do you have a script? Do you have a list of questions? Do you have things like that? And I don't. And the reason that I don't is because of my faith. Because I believe that I'm walking in my purpose and plan right now, and that God is orchestrating these conversations. So he already has what he wants in people's minds and hearts to talk about. So I turn it all over to him, and I pray with my guest, and we leave it in his hands. And there have been some conversations that I've had with people where you can literally sense the Spirit of God in the room, and it is life-changing. And actually, one of those speakers, Bruce Wozniak, he's here today. He'll be talking on Saturday, Catholic Sports Radio host. And I'll tell you, after that interview, I came out of the room, and my wife said to me, "How's it going?" And I said, "I just feel the glow of God all over me." And I'll tell you, it is real. Don't let anybody tell you that God's not real, because he is. He is a life. He's got you sitting here. Well, sorry. He's got you sitting here because you have a calling and a purpose on your life. And that is what is going to make a difference in this world. What makes a huge difference with those gifts and callings is when you plug into your relationship with him, because he's the one that gave you those things, and they're there whether you want to follow them or not. And a lot of people don't understand that when God creates us, he already knows what he wants to do with our life. He already knows the gifts and the callings that he's given you. It's all been written. It's all planned out. You just need to step into it and walk with it. That comes through that first step of accepting him into our hearts and walking in that relationship. And you'll never look back. The oceans will open up before you when that happens.
I felt like everybody left the room for a minute. Like, I really had a moment with that. Thank you. And you know what? Like me on a personal level, I need the reminder that we are divinely protected and we're all here for a bigger purpose. It's some good stuff.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff. So thank you. And how can people watch your podcast? I'm assuming we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
It's just an audio podcast. And so you can find us on any podcast platform. Refuge, Freedom, Stories. We have 149 episodes online currently right now. I've got guests booked every Monday night until May of this year. And, we're on every platform.
I love it. Well, let me see if I can sneak onto one of these at some point. It sounds lovely. It sounds nice.
I'll give you my card, and yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So what can I do, Danielle? Where'd Danielle go? If she can connect? All right, beautiful. Yeah. No, I'd love to get you.
Okay. Well, God bless you, man. No, I'm not on LinkedIn.
You're on Instagram?
No.
Any socials?
No.
You got the old school. You got the card.
I got a card, man. I got a card. The next guest. Sorry. Yeah. Hey, God bless you, man. Yeah, send me an email and I'd love to chat with you. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Josh and Sean.
Let's get Josh and Sean. Let's go. What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
Great.
What's up, dude?
Nice to meet you, Sean. Okay. Beautiful. All right.
So we're streaming live on LinkedIn right now. I know these guys are nerds. What are they doing on LinkedIn? Why are we sitting here right now?
You gotta upgrade, man.
I like LinkedIn because that's where the money is.
Okay,
There's a lot of broke people on Instagram, Foot Finder. It's
definitely.
They don't got money. So what brings you to Podfest? Y'all look like the youngest guys in the room right now.
Yeah, we definitely are. But we got invited here, so
y'all got invited. You guys got a podcast? You listen to podcasts?
We're the Mind's Eye podcast. That's what we do.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so what's the unique angle here? And is it like a legit unique angle?
Probably one of the most unique angles out there, to be honest with you. Yeah,
that's why people love what we do.
Yeah. We talk about a lot of things that are covered underneath the rug.
All right.
We love those topics. Yeah,
Mind's Eye, hence the name, all in one.
Yep.
So
like, what are we? I mean, I love me some conspiracy theories. Is that what we're talking about, or like, what's the angle?
Yeah.
Oh shit,
about stuff like that. things you've probably never
UFOs.
heard about, stuff that would be like 3 a.m. scrolling. You're like, what the hell is this?
All right, so then I have to ask, what is concerning you two right now about our society? What is the threat that keeps you guys up at night a little bit?
Oh, I mean, how free is the platform right now?
Dude, it's fucking free. It's my page. I don't give a shit.
Okay. I mean, if you really want to get real, what's up with that client
right.
list?
What was it?
That client list.
Client list.
Yeah.
What about the Oh
Yeah.
shit! Oh. Okay, like I'm not buying it. I know that they omitted like 3/4 of the people on that list.
That's
I'm
what
sure.
saying.
Is that what you guys are thinking too?
Yeah. So what I was concerned with was that it got overtaken by the whole Stephen Hawking memes.
Right.
Now we
Yeah,
only
the
heard
aliens.
like 20 names, and then that's it. It's like,
Bro, if Stephen Hawking could do it, I know Ellen Keller's on that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they got
Yeah.
everybody, man.
got everybody. Everyone's tagged up.
All right. So, what is like if you guys have any? What is a conspiracy theory? And remember, I believe it was the CIA created the term conspiracy
Yes,
theory,
they
right?
actually did.
They invented it,
JFK
right? So we're gonna use their blanket term to talk about like what is one that has been proven that a lot of our society doesn't know about or is still quiet about? Are you guys aware of any?
Ooh, that's a good one, actually.
Actually, the a great one is the psychotronic energy.
Oh yeah,
I think MIT or some institute did a whole entire publication about secret subtle energetical forces in the human body, and nobody's ever really talked about that out in the air, to be honest.
Oh yeah, you could get into like the lost civilizations and everything, and how they use like
lost
water
civilizations,
as power, and I mean we could go down that rabbit hole.
No, it goes deep.
Is there one topic right now that's like, besides the list and everything, like what angle are you guys gonna be taking with the podcast this spring? What are you guys creating right now?
I mean, honestly, we're just going down like more ancient civilization routes because it seems that every day they find a new ancient civilization.
Right.
I mean, so we're trying to like put it together, see how it adds up across what they're telling us, if it's valid or not.
Right.
So,
And what inspires you guys? Like, why do you feel so compelled to talk about these unconventional things?
Yeah. I mean, it's something personally that I've always done since I was a kid, and it's like now we have a platform to do it.
Right.
Some medicinal medicines help me make the decision to get through that. So.
Dude, why do you think I got glasses on right now? Hey, all right, no, but carry on.
Yeah, well,
I love it. And so where can people watch the podcast? How can they see it?
Everywhere. Search up The Mind's Eye. We're usually the first search result.
The Mind's Eye. I like these guys. They're different. So go check out their podcast, blow it up, listen to the different sections. I know I am. So, all right. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Everything.
Where's Danielle? She'll get you some clips and stuff. You guys will repost it. Thanks, dude. Nice to meet you guys. Jesus Christ, those guys have big ass hands. Shake their hands. Shake their hands for yourself so you can see it. They got some big hands. Let's go. So, who wants some content? Would you like some content? Hey, you over there. Would you like some content? Yeah, come take a seat.
Let's talk.
Oh, it's this guy again. We could have one more.
Let's
yeah.
fucking talk for a minute.
Oh, right. Okay, so now we're rolling.
What's going on?
So, we had quite the party a couple of days ago. We had a blast,
God,
didn't
did we party? Holy
So I went and I did a Google search. You really are that legit. I am kind of now fanboying a little bit. I'm fanboying because you went into the details. We didn't go into all the details, which I understand. We didn't have hours to talk about all the accolades. So this guy is legit. Oh, she is the best, isn't she?
Well, look at her.
I know.
Did her parents do right or what?
Oh, they did. All around. Genetics and personality. Very rare. Very rare.
Beauty.
Right?
And more beauty.
And so, but I have to.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're quite the legit gentleman. And we're joined by one other guest. Can you please introduce yourself? What brings you here today?
Hi, my name is Dr. An. I am a new podcaster. I've been podcasting for a year and a couple of months. And I applied to do a talk. So I did a Picha Kucha this morning, and I'm just here to soak it in. I'm an introvert, but you know what? I'm stepping out of my comfort zone.
Beautiful outfit. You call yourself.
I am an introvert. Let me tell you.
Personality.
Let me tell you.
You're sitting next to one of the most extrovert
I
people.
know, but
This is so good right now.
my friend
This
I
is
came
so good for
here
you.
with is an extrovert, and she literally picks me up.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, she's like,
we need those.
ask for what you want. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. So I'm here to learn. I'm really here to meet people and learn.
All here to learn, really.
Yeah.
And it's then
I am. Meet people, network, get out of my comfort zone.
There we go.
No shit. Look at you.
Let's get a picture. Hey, dude, could you get one of all of us? This guy loves his pictures. Let him take it, so because he's a photographer. He's actually pretty good. He's not high off his ass.
Yeah.
Oh, we've been taking pictures?
I'm like an ever-ready battery. My smile is
All right, so you've been creating podcasts for about a year and a half now. What has been the most surprising part of this journey for you? Podcasting.
I think it's been the people I've met along the way, honestly. Just so open, inviting, and just so giving, really. Willing to share, help you. So for me, that has really been fabulous. I'm from like an ultra competitive field, I'm in medicine. So, it's like a dog eat dog world. So I'm really happy that people,
right.
What's
they're people,
Are you a doctor?
the real kind. Yes, and I'm an MD.
A doc.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Why are all these billions of people on Ozempic? And do they know the repercussions of what's going to happen to them when they shrink?
Ooh, little
look
little
like Celine
controversy.
Dion? I don't
Right.
get it. Explain
Well,
that to me.
I'll tell you this. It's the same reason people smoke. They know it's bad for them, but they do it anyway. There are people who generally need to be on Ozempic,
That's correct.
but then there are
Diabetics
other
and-
people.
I
Exactly.
haven't met a single
there are
person
other
that
people.
had to be on it.
You need to change your friends.
I didn't say they were friends. I said
Okay.
I know
Yeah.
people.
Well, with me, because of my profession, I do meet people who actually do need it. I'm like, for example, I have people who are struggling with obesity, for example, and they're considering gastric bypass. And I would rather try a drug first than to change your anatomy permanently for the long term.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, but what about like the blood and the brain and the flow and all of that stuff that happens when you take a drug like Ozempic?
Actually get same thing. You take Tylenol. Have you read the contraindications for that too? It's a risk benefit ratio. And for me personally, you're an adult. The only thing I would hope is that before these people start this medication, they have all the facts, because there are a lot of people who, when the side effects happen, they act as if, oh my God, I did not know this was going to happen.
It actually, I'll share really quick. What happened to me is I have ADHD, so I started
too.
taking Adderall.
Me
Started
too.
taking Adderall.
Am I the only normal
Worse,
person in the
probably,
world?
probably.
You may be the only abnormal person.
Start taking Adderall.
Yeah.
And I loved the feeling of the amphetamine salt high. Ended up getting addicted to it, and I had to stop taking it because I felt like I was prescribed meth. But I feel like the people that really qualify for it, it probably helps them a lot, and they will. There's a hope that there isn't that addictive quality within you.
Right.
Right?
And I will tell you that I have ADHD, and I was diagnosed really late in life, which is very common for women, because typically young girls are not necessarily hyperactive. We're inattentive, we dream more. So for a long time, doctors did not even think girls had ADHD. So a lot of us get diagnosed with ADHD in our 40s, when we have other competing things happening in our lives, children, marriage, taking care of parents, and we completely just implode. So I do take Adderall from time to time. I am like the least addictive person in the world. I take it intermittently because my mouth gets really dry.
Oh, yeah.
But in the summer when I'm running, I don't need it.
Oh,
but I
yeah,
got
that's
to a
great.
point about a month ago where literally I was bouncing off the wall, and I started taking it again. But guess what? I knew I was coming down here. I was going to speak. I stopped taking it. You know why? Because my mouth gets so dry.
Right.
So for me, I mean, I literally have had a 90-day supply that has lasted me almost a year.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so whether it's Ozempic or something like Adderall, like these pharmaceuticals have their place, but you need to know yourself, know your own behaviors.
Absolutely. I'm also a lifestyle medicine physician, and so I really push that part because there are lifestyle changes you can do. I work with firefighters, police officers, security guards, and I spend more time with them in the occupational setting than their primary care providers. And we talk through these things, and I've had great success with them just doing lifestyle changes. So I am not completely anti doing it the hard way, but there are some people who do need a little bit of help.
I agree. So, well, thank you for that, and thank you for the two of you. You can stick around if you'd like. I ain't kicking you out. We just got to keep new free talent coming in.
Get a word in.
The mic is yours, my friend. You're in the hot seat. You're in the middle.
Oh my God!
So you can keep it going as long as you want, my friend.
Well, I only brought up medicine because this young lady is an expert.
There we go.
Get
she knows what she's talking about.
And you couldn't shut me up after that.
Right.
Look who's there in the corner. There she is.
I'm gonna take a bathroom break, guys.
Numero
you keep it going.
uno.
You're doing great.
Okay. Who's up next?
I'm gonna check out.
Who's up next? How about my beautiful friend there, Kelly? Kelly, have a seat, honey. Come on. Upstage. That's right.
Does everybody know who you are?
No, they don't. They have no clue. They don't know that a living legend is in the room.
A living legend is in the room, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't. I'm too young.
Do you know about the Oscars trophy? Grammys. He's the one who designed it.
Oh. Well, pleased to meet you.
Yeah.
So
I thought I
those
came here
who
to
don't know
learn.
that,
When I clean up.
Ooh,
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. What's your
he
name?
Designed
Lawrence Gartell. Lawrence Gartell is the
Lawrence
father
Gartell
of digital art.
is the founder of digital art.
As a matter of fact, why don't you repeat what I'm saying? We're
I
gonna
know,
do it
right?
very slow,
Listen,
okay?
because people are not hearing you.
People have to know.
Pleased to
They
meet you.
have to know. Lawrence Gartell is in the house. I can't hear a word you're saying, Jason. Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais pas.
I don't know.
Je ne sais quoi, je ne sais pas.
All right. Lawrence Gartell.
Okay, our next guest, go on down that red carpet. You are live on the Owl Podcast.
Who's here?
Oh, she's not.
It's not about me.
You're up. Sorry.
Shine. Just. Hi there. How are you?
Hi there. Hi, Melissa. What's your name?
Melissa.
Hi, Lawrence.
And I'm Orly.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So tell us a little bit about you.
Yes.
So I have an entertainment agency. I manage people in the entertainment industry. I work with actors, singers, bands. I get people record deals. I get people in Netflix movies. And so that's my thing. Is I am the person behind.
I met my person.
Yes.
I am the person that helps make trips.
Mountain came to Muhammad.
It's so beautiful.
And I just, it's awesome to watch. So are you, you're in the music biz?
Lawrence Gartell. Lawrence Gartell is the one who actually did he designed the Grammys trophy statue next to
I was meant to sit with you.
There you go. There you go. And I meant to meet with you. I'm so excited.
How you came up with the design for this year's Grammy?
Here's what it is. This is the 2015 Grammy statue. That was the poster, the invitation, the VIP tickets,
Okay.
the promotion. It sits on the 3rd floor of the Grammy Museum.
Isn't that amazing?
Phenomenal. Now,
Forever.
Do you get a Grammy for creating
Well,
a Grammy?
no one should know that, but the answer is yes.
You do?
I have one. Yes, I have one.
He walks the red carpet every time too.
And you hold, what do you hold on the red carpet?
Well, I was holding the cover of the program guide. Imagine this: 30,000 musicians, one visual artist.
Wow, that's amazing.
That means you're a phenomenal artist.
Yes, he is.
You get picked out of people from
The
all
world.
over the world,
Oh
right?
my God. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about
More.
I can't even believe
so
it.
More.
So, have you ever heard of the Seminole Hard Rock Guitar Hotel?
Yes.
Have you been there?
Many times.
Okay. Have you walked down the hallway leading to the Oasis Tower? You may or may not have done that.
So you're in the Hard Rock.
I am the entire hallway of the Hard Rock.
Wow.
Here is voice, keyboards, percussion, and strings. They gave me a plaque larger than Elvis Presley.
Wow.
So the thing, I met Lawrence at another event, and we were sitting next to each other. Here's what happened. I was telling him people are walking by and sitting next to you, not knowing who you are. So you have to tell them who
You're
you
kind
are.
of a big deal.
He is a
So
big
basically, like you're probably a super big deal.
He's a super big deal.
And you're a celebrity artist.
And it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be next
So
to
did
this
you
guy.
even think that would ever happen?
Yes.
That in your
Yes, I
vision
did.
as an artist?
100%. I'll tell you why. Because my mother told me I was great, and I believed. And I went around to every curator at the Museum of Modern Art and everywhere else. I said, my mother told me I was great. She wouldn't lie to me. And I've shown at the Museum of Modern Art. I'm in the collection since I'm 25 years old. I taught Andy Warhol how to use the Amiga computer to make Debbie Harry's album cover in 1985. Consequently, I have a 300-page book, which is in my car, made by the Lucca Museum in Italy. I traveled to 12 museums, and half the book is to Andy, half of it's to myself.
Well, I grew up where Warhol is from. Yes, so I've spent a lot of time at the Warhol Museum, and I love Warhol.
You know.
Obsessed with Warhol.
Now we need you to talk to us about you. And how does anybody get in touch with you? What is it that you're looking for now for yourself?
So I'm actually just here for fun,
and we're having fun.
So I've been having so much fun for a really long time, and I just started a lifestyle podcast to just talk about life, things that are going on social media and in the news, and just how a lot of stuff that we see online is bullshit. And so I am giving the real perspective on anything from sex, relationships, entertainment.
Wait, back up. The first one you mentioned?
Stop.
No, I didn't hear what she said.
She said sex,
I hear it.
relationship, etc.
Relationship.
Yes, she did.
Friendships.
Friendship.
Everything
hearing it.
that is shade people talk about, I'm talking about.
Well, I
So-
definitely want to be in touch with you because so many people want to get on Netflix, etc., and they don't know how to go about it.
So I'll give a little snippet, right? So people don't understand that you don't have to be extremely established to get on a TV
Thank God.
show or in a
Thank God.
movie.
Thank God.
A lot of people get their first roles on a show or movie at their very first job.
I'll be happy to just be an extra.
But they spent all of their time refining and crafting their work. So when they stepped in front of that camera to do their videotape audition, they nailed it. So it's actually easier than what people think.
So happy to hear that right now.
And so
Get me on. I'm on. I'm hiring her.
So your dreams are within reach, and what people don't get is that it's not as hard as you think, right? So Wendy.
I don't know. I just make phone calls.
So what about you? Tell us about you. Tell us about What are you here to share?
I am a business coach for public speakers and entrepreneurs, and wanting them to get out there and share their message, but be paid for it as if they're intellectual property. But that's what people don't know, is that it's $113 billion industry. What are you showing her in that I don't get?
So what is your? So what do you want for your? So what is it that you bring to your clients? Like, what is it about you that you bring to your clients?
I hold their hand until they make 150K. Meaning, I hold their hand. I guarantee they make 150K.
So you give them that push until they just.
And I educate on how to do it. Yes, I hold their hand until they make the money. Yes. 5 million is not in my guarantee, but 150K is in my guarantee.
I love it. I love it.
So cool. So cool to be sitting next to you both.
So what
I
about?
didn't even know I was going to be here. This is hysterical, by the way. It's really hysterical.
I am going to. I think I am just mind blown by the fact that you have done such your accomplishment.
Isn't he amazing? Amazing.
Do you have a podcast? What brought you here? What brought you to a podcast convention?
Plus, I've been working
We're
with
so supporting Owl.
Jason. Jason wants me to have a podcast. And I just met the people in the front who said we can promote the podcast. And I've had interview shows before in the past.
I just like being a guest on podcasts.
So what kind of podcast would you like to have?
I'd like to interview all the phenomenal people that I met, like Madonna's girlfriend, who's a DJ in Miami, for one. I was actually the host of the Star Gala in Miami for a couple of years, and I gave an award to John Cicada.
I'm well aware of who that is. So that shows.
Taylor Dane.
Yeah.
What's her name? Gloria
Estefan. I already knew Gloria Estefan.
Lawrence Gartell, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Lawrence Gartell.
So
and Melissa, what's your last name?
Jack of all trades, Melissa Lucas.
Melissa Lucas is in the house, people, as well as Lawrence Gartell. We need the next. Yeah, we need the next guest.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Are you coming to interview? Okay. You guys can get a break now and go talk.
Yeah, here, let me get your.
Sure, of course. We're here for 2 days to talk.
We're here for 3 days. Love you.
I mean, actually, it's like right
there. Or like tomorrow. Come on down, lady. Come on down. You're the next contestant on the price tag.
So, what do you power is you're only getting one sign up for a time slot. I can sign you up now.
What a beautiful name. We have our next guest
Celicia.
is Celicia Thomas Weiss. Hello. Ooh, I am so excited. Thank you
for Celicia, how are you?
You've met my friend Steven?
Yeah. Well, I've not called him Steven.
No, what are you calling him? Come on.
Ref Kimbro. Ref Kimbro. Oh, she said that with some bass too. That made that made my nips hard.
I know. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
We're live,
My
ladies
filter.
and gentlemen.
My
We're
bad.
live.
Sorry, kids. I'm gonna send the children's to counseling. The children's because of my filter.
Tell us about yourself, please.
Okay. My name is Celicia Thomas Weiss. It was Celicia Thomas like a week ago. I got married. I'm finally changing my name. I work as, my full-time gig, whatever, for the last 10 years has been a professional performer. Performed on Broadway and on tour and back in the day at Disneyland. And I love that. But my husband really wants a family.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to figure out how I can keep making money being a performer with my waistline expanding.
Well, so many beautiful stars.
You can do that. That's called stand-up comedy.
That's right. There you go.
You can put on as much rings as you want.
But I gotta be funny if I'm gonna be a stand-up comic.
Well,
but you got that Disney energy.
Yeah, She has the
I
energy.
can insert the funny. I
Sure,
can help pull the funny out of you.
Steph Kimbrough, I think I'm hilarious, but if I'm the only one laughing,
But you want that. That's called a fail forward opportunity.
Absolutely.
If they don't laugh today,
Absolutely.
you try it and you tweak it and you try it again tomorrow. Maybe they'll laugh then. If they don't, you had an opportunity to fail forward and tweak it and try it again.
That's
And
the
if
whole
they
point.
don't laugh, you can fail forward 20 times on one joke, and in one day, it'll hit.
do you know how terrifying it is? I know you do know to go to like a stand-up comedy thing and to bomb.
Yes.
Here is something
Yes, I
that
do.
happens to us every day. It happened earlier today. I'm going to tell you exactly between Kimbrough and me. Okay, here we go. They gave us these beach balls to pump. All right, and we said we're going to pump some balls. And now he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, but not everybody found it funny. We did. We thought it was hilarious. We actually said we're going to pump some balls.
They're like, hey, Kimbrough, you want to come and help us pump some balls? I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
said,
in.
and listen to this. This is when I didn't realize it. I said, my arm is not feeling well. I can't pump any balls.
But I got the gun, so I can pump the balls.
It was horrible.
Oh my God.
Laugh at yourself, which makes it fun.
And here's what. Fun fact. All the saggy balls over there are mine. I'm just saying.
I was wondering when you were like,
I'm talking about the beach balls.
I see some.
The beach balls, y'all.
Just take
They're the black saggy balls are mine over here.
Oh my goodness gracious.
See where this is going? You can make it a conversation and still be funny. As long as you're laughing, people will laugh.
Well, I don't know if being a stand-up comedian is my calling in life, but I do like the idea of it. It's something I could think about.
But for you, listen, for you as a performer, it is part of your calling. It may not be the calling, but you have multiple fields of talent. And stand-up comedy just happens to be one of them. You're already familiar with audiences. You're already familiar with going on. You're already familiar with preparing in a production for a performance on a professional level. All you really need to learn.
You're being coached dramatically here.
All you really need to learn is the paradigms, the techniques, and the secrets and the trades and the tricks behind stand-up, and apply that discipline from Broadway and Disney into that. Bam! You are funny.
I'm voting yes.
And it won't be long before you get paid. And I tell you what, if I'm coaching you and I have a gig, I'll hire you my damn self as my opening act, and I'll pay you. Well, I'll pay you with a bucket of chicken and a 40, but still.
Here's the thing. Hold on.
But you can take that to the hood and get paid. I'm just.
You can do with others and charge for it as a company.
Yes. You could take my expertise and recycle it and get paid. And guess what? It's legit.
I do. I'm a coach. I get it. I get what he just did with you and what you can do to okay with your waistline. While you're doing that, you can do something else that brings in the dough.
And you said your husband wants to do it too.
There
so
you
the
go.
both of you can wordsmith material together.
Answer one of my questions, because I feel like if I'm using him in all my jokes, is that really fair? But if he is doing it too, then he's going to
be awesome.
Right
That,
back.
you know what? Touche.
Touche.
Welcome, touche. Tit for tat. You do a bit on me, I do a bit on you until you get tired of doing bits on each other, and then you'll tap into some other sources. But you need to go through that metamorphosis.
Lynn, don't go.
You need to go through that, but it's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you closer. It's also going to peel back a few layers that you thought you peeled back that you haven't yet, because the last line of defense of truth is comedy. So you and your husband will become closer because you're using comedy to dig deep into those insecurities and that vulnerability. Deep.
Hey, all right, I'm here for that.
Yes.
Is my time up?
No, it's not. We got
Time. What do you
Jonathan.
mean?
Jonathan is sitting in because
Time is up.
your time just started because Jonathan is back.
Rockstar that just sat
It's
down
just rock star.
So now you're sitting between Crockett and Tubbs right now.
Okay, let's see. That'll work.
We
That'll
got
work.
sound effects.
We got. Yeah, we need a little bit. So, yeah, my name's John. I make videos and sometimes I host podcasts. What's your name?
I'm Celicia Thomas Weiss.
Wow.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And of course, this gentleman.
Yes.
Thanks for hosting right now. Appreciate it,
man.
buddy. So, what brings you here specifically this time around? Why did you decide to come to PodFest this year? Yeah,
you are.
Yes, you're the hot seat.
The Disney performer is on mic right now.
Oh. Why were you keeping that away from me? Wait a second.
I should have started
Wait
with that.
a Disney performer. Let me tell you something. I went on a date with Jasmine, and you already know where this is going.
You took her on a magic carpet ride.
I did not take her on a magic carpet ride. I paid the toll, but I didn't ride. I paid the toll, didn't ride.
You didn't rub the genie bottle like long enough.
Let me tell you, the woman thought she was Jasmine, like legit.
In real life?
In real life, she thought she was Jasmine. She had a bunch of autographed memorabilia, which cool. But then I broke up with her at Epcot.
At Epcot?
20 minutes before the fireworks. I told myself,
No.
if I break up with her before the fireworks, I'll be safe. And she was like, why would you break up with me at my place of employment? She had a lot of red flags, but it was afterwards. The novel that she wrote as a breakup text was, because he remembers because he saw it. She could have written a novel. It was like 18 pages long. I'm still in recovery. Legitimately 18 pages long. So,
Memorable.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyways,
See, that's
please.
some comedy material right there.
I'm hoping you're not one of those.
I hope I'm not either.
No,
anyway, sorry for taking you on my little path. So, you work for Disney?
No, back in the day, I used to work at Disney in the show vocalist.
Have that energy. You have that beautiful, like,
doesn't she?
Right? It's just like, it's like that fire. She's like a Disney princess. Without the
See, I was ready to take a nap earlier until I sat next to her. Now I'm all pumped up,
jazzed up, right?
This is not my first time at PodFest, and every time I come to PodFest, my goal is to fade into the background and just to watch.
That's not with a face like that. And
Yes,
aura,
like you
and
blend.
talent like
Yeah,
that, it's
sure.
not possible.
Okay.
It's always my goal. I always like to just
Try again next year.
Yeah.
Try again next year.
Yeah. How's that working out for you? The blending.
Here we are with microphones.
Yeah.
It's
Of
a
all
gift
these
from God.
people, you blended so much that I picked you out of a crowd and snatched you into the.
You know what we
owl
call that?
vortex.
We call this God's favorites.
Yeah,
You're one of God's favorites.
She doesn't blend. I saw her with binoculars from a mile away. What are you talking about?
Oh my God. No, I come here to enjoy, to take in the different talks, to go to the different tracks, be inspired so that I can go back into my real life. And my prayer is that I can take this spirit of expansion into real life and to keep going and to keep doing and to like make something awesome. But while I'm here, I end up being like a part of everything, a part of the fun.
You have that energy. That's why.
And
It's magnetic.
Good vibes.
But I'm
Good
an
vibes.
introvert.
Did you see my talk?
No, I haven't.
You missed it.
You need to watch the song.
I'll watch the
You need
replay.
to watch the song. You'll get a lot of
It's-
context.
It's my talk was everybody has 3 minutes.
Oh, I heard about it.
You heard about it?
Yes, I heard about it.
I'm in the rumor lane.
All right, we
Oh,
need to get
snap.
this one right here because she's been waiting patiently.
yes.
No, she has
So,
been. We should let her.
Let's get her rolling.
We should let her
Thank
in.
you for having me,
Oh
you
my
guys.
gosh! But where can people find you since you're hiding?
Oh, I guess you can find me on Instagram at Celicia Thomas. And my podcast is Black Hair in the Big Leagues, wherever
it.
you listen to podcasts. And I have a YouTube called It's Me, Celish.
You know, I like her energy, John. John, why don't I step out and have her slide in, and
Let's
you
do
rock
that.
with the two of them?
All right, let's go.
How about that?
Let's go. Okay, we could do that. We could do that for a hot minute. All right, thank you, sir. Content. Let's make in a content. What's going on, PodFest? Great to be here today. We got the corner seats over here in the back. Come check us out. Check out the Owl app. Get a free interview. Get some content. Only on Owl. All right, so please introduce yourself. We were just talking to our other guests, please.
My name is Kiona Nessenbaum, and I am the host of a podcast called Birth as We Know It. And it is a podcast that's dedicated to recognizing the many, many different ways that birth unfolds. So
that birth unfolds.
Yeah, birth. It's all about birth. And I interview birthing people. I interview partners, providers, birth workers, family members that were at a birth. It's truly, truly remarkable. But I can be biased because it's my podcast. But I really love talking to people about their births and like how they brought life into the world.
I love that. And it's where all of life starts. So and it's an undeniable part of our existence. So I feel like your content could probably be evergreen because nobody's taking birth away. You know?
Wait, what do you mean by evergreen? Because I keep hearing this term.
Evergreen. So it means it's something that if I listened to that podcast in 1960 and I listened to it today, it's still relevant. It's about relevance, right? Like you watch I Love Lucy and it's very much evergreen, the story, what happened.
I see. I was talking to you in the line. It is. It's something that I'm like, I've never been a mom before. And it relates to even somebody like me. I'm like, oh, it might be something I would want to listen to going forward if my husband puts babies in me.
One day he will, and one day he will, and the podcast will still be there.
And it will still be there.
Because it's evergreen.
Yeah.
See, it all comes full circle. So what do you add into your podcast to make it different than some of these other birthing podcasts?
Yeah, that's a great question. The thing that I add that is the most different is not interviewing the person that's giving birth. So I'm interviewing providers as they talk about what it's like to provide for such a diverse community. I talk with partners to hear like what their perspective is of the birth space because so many people always go to the mom or the birthing person to ask questions about how it went, but they never go to the partner. Like, how was it for you? How did it emotionally impact you? What was going through your mind when you were watching your partner go through this extremely difficult thing? Or even making the decisions to, like, they're someone that decided that they wanted to get an epidural. They made that decision for many different reasons, right?
Donna, I have a question for you. Do you talk about yourself on there or do you keep it about the guests?
Oh, interesting question.
I absolutely also include myself.
Okay.
And the reason why I include myself is because I am a mother of 3. And so I have experiences myself.
Speak into the mic a little bit more.
Sorry.
A little bit louder.
I am a mother of 3 and I have birth experience myself. And I also am a birth doula and I was a student midwife. I unfortunately had to stop being a student midwife because of the pandemic, and so I got pregnant again. So that's where my third came from. But
Hey.
so we were all cozy during COVID.
There you go.
So yeah, I also have experience as a birth assistant, and so I was in the health field, but because of being a mother of 3 with small children and a wife to my wonderful husband, I was focusing on family. But I still really wanted to be in the birth space. I became a stay-at-home parent unexpectedly during 2021. 2022. And so I was like, I'm going to follow my passion and talk about birth. And here I am. I'm almost at my year mark.
Wow. Congratulations for seeing it through. It's very tough. It's very challenging. So within that, what was the thing that inspired you to want to talk about the birthing process? It just seems a little unconventional, right?
Oh my gosh, it's so different for everyone. And I know it's super cliche to say, but everybody has been born. Right? And every single person that's standing in this room, all 3 of us at this table, we have a different experience as to how we were brought into this world, right? And so when you think about, if you look at someone, you don't automatically assume, oh, your mom had a C-section, or oh, your mom almost died, or oh, your mom did die. Like there are people that are always on the cusp of thinking that everything is always super normal, everything's fine. But I have people on my podcast that talk about almost dying and what it's like to be on the other side and to look at life differently. I've interviewed people in Australia and had the opportunity to talk to them about what their healthcare system is like and what they, I've talked about people that have
what would be something surprising about the birthing process that a lot of people don't know?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, something that is surprising. I would say, is just how psychological it is. Because people are so focused on the physical aspect of what birth entails, is that they don't actually think about how it psychologically impacts you as a being, and how much the birthing process is just as much psychological and mental as it is physical, because you have to have the confidence in yourself to be able even just make decisions. Like, if your choice is to give birth unmedicated and to have a natural labor and birth, or like a vaginal birth, no complications, what are you doing psychologically in your mind to prepare yourself for that? So like, what is it that you're thinking of? Are you thinking of, oh my God, I can't do it, I'm definitely getting the epidural, I don't even want to talk about anything else?
Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
3 times she's a champ.
And I will say my personal 3 experiences are so different from one another. I fought.
Really?
Yes. So all of my births were unmedicated, so I had no epidural, which was totally fine. But I was psychologically prepared for that, because I believed at my young age of 19, when I had my first, that I could do it without medication.
And you did it without medication.
I did, but the reason why I did it is because I was being stubborn, and I was like, I'm about to prove all you wrong. I can do this. Like,
And how did that go? Was it?
It went well.
It went well because your mindset was right. You were prepared.
Yeah, my mindset.
2 times more.
2 times more. But I will say this last one, it was this last one was when I turned to my husband and was like, babe,
Hey.
it is time to stop.
The shop is closed.
Yeah, we are done. So
Well, 3's a really. I'm a byproduct of 3. I got 2 brothers, so
Nice.
I think 3 is the perfect number.
yeah.
It's like you got the middle child, which
Yep.
is true.
I mean, yeah, she's
Middle is now weird. I think weird is great.
weird is
great.
I
Weird
will
is
say
Not
my
the weird
son,
middle child.
Yeah, my son is my middle child, and he is absolutely amazing. I love him so much. He has so many big emotions. I have a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. My middle child, he has a place in my heart, because he is
Very
me.
middle child.
Yes, he is very middle child, and I did not realize what that meant until I had my 3rd.
Wait, Kiona, as a mother,
Yes.
do you have a favorite?
Oh, absolutely
Oh
not.
shit.
I do not. And it's so interesting, because that was a concern that I had as a parent, right? Like, oh my God, I have more than one.
How can you love them all?
How can you love them all? But it's so crazy, and it's also, again, cliche to say, but your love grows, and it grows in different ways. There are features that you could appreciate more from one, but it's never like a competition of who do I love most.
Tying it up. All right. Well, there we go. So we are
Wrapping it up.
But
Thank
where
you.
can people find you? Where can they find your podcast?
Yeah, so if you go to KionaNessenbaum.com, that's my website. And if you want to share your birth story, there's a guest request form that you could fill out.
Go.
And then you can find me on Instagram at Birth As We Know It Podcasts.
She's lovely and very patient. So thank you so much
you.
for
Yeah,
having
of
for
course.
coming by, and we'll get you the info.
Thank you.
This was the guy that stopped me for the wrestling, right?
No. That was my friend that stopped you.
Oh, was it your friend?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
my friend that did
All right. I gotta clarify before I get started. The faces. You may just like I'm kind of choking on mine a little bit.
Check 1 2 2 2.
Yeah, just put your face nice and close to it.
It's not. Oh, there he goes.
There we go.
It's
So
working now.
okay, he is on.
Yeah, working. You just gotta get closer.
All right. So I guess I met your brother. There he is. So now I'm joined by you. So what's your name? What brought you out today?
So my name is Francisco. What brought me out is first year doing PodFest. Just wanted to get out and see how things integral to the business to work and talk to guys like you who are already in this business doing what you're doing now.
Yeah. Okay. So you started your podcast almost a year ago. So what is that podcast about?
Well, this is actually my 3rd year podcasting. So the reason I started the podcast is because in my professional life, I'm a business banker. So transition was easy for me from talking to people in person to talking to people online and having those type of conversations because I have to have them every day.
Right.
And I wanted to get people's stories out there. So this is why I started the podcast.
That's awesome.
typically like these types of businesses are created out of necessity. So was it you kind of like trying to find your own voice and what have you, and then you just kind of reverse engineered it into your podcast? How did you go from like that step one saying I'm going to create a podcast to launching a successful one? What was that process for you?
So the funny part it wasn't even supposed to be a podcast. It was supposed to be a magazine. So my whole purpose is to talk to business owners, talk to people, interview them. It was an interview style magazine. But the magazine business, is pretty much dead unless you go digital.
Great. Yeah, it's not doing great.
So I figured it was the podcast craze came around COVID. Everybody started getting into it, but this was something I was passionate about talking to people. So I wanted to translate it into let's do a podcast, but I want to make it an evergreen podcast. This is not a niche thing where I'm only going to talk to one set of people. I want to talk to people like you guys. You guys are running a live stream, a successful podcast. I want to learn from people like you, but I also want to tell the stories of people who need a platform to be able to speak.
Do you find?
Sorry, I've been choking the whole this thing.
Do you find that there are specific businesses that gravitate to what you do, or in your mind, do you have specific industries that you gravitate to as far as who you want to have on your podcast and what type of banking business advice you want to give?
So believe it or not, I don't talk about banking. I've had one episode where I've talked about banking, about businesses. I can run a business. I can show people how to run a business, but I do that for a living. I don't want to do that on my show. So what I want to do is give people a platform to talk about their businesses, talk about their life experiences. So from what I found is I've had a lot of authors come my way. I've talked to a lot of authors. I've talked to a lot of people that own businesses themselves that want to promote their businesses and get their businesses out there. I've talked to artists. I've talked to one of the most premier guitarists in the United States. And the conversation we had, he was thrown aback because of the questions I was asking. He's been interviewed all over the world. And the questions I was asking, he got caught off guard by in a good way because I never asked him questions like that before. So that's the beauty of what we do.
That's cool.
And when it comes to listening to people's stories, and like I do see that, I love that angle for podcasting. What I've found that I've been doing it for a while is you're really going to find that one thing that's going to separate you from everybody else, and you really need to be very, very specific. So, like, what I realized is in the podcasting world, nobody was doing these like long form podcasts. So I did a 27-hour one.
Wow.
Or 27 or 25. I think it was 25.
Yeah, it was like 27 hours.
Yeah.
You were on for a minute.
So I interviewed 27 business owners straight. And what happens is when you do something like that, it's called a challenge, right? When you do things like that, people have two purposes for listening, not only for the information they're getting, but the added value is this guy going to die? Is he going to make it the 27 hours? Is he going to break the record, right? So I would say that was a big for me. Don't just be a valuable source of information, because information is no longer a commodity. People can Google anything that you can ask in a podcast, somebody can Google. It doesn't fucking work anymore. What are we going to do that's really going to make us stand out from everybody else? Become the ungoogleable.
So for me, though, how I stand out is the way I interview people. So you got podcasters out there that, and frankly, in all honesty, run a shitty show. They interview people. What they do is they antagonize their guests. They're trying to be controversial on purpose. I don't see that. You don't build a good reputation by doing that. So the way I interview people, I make them feel like they're valued. That's what I bring. That's what separates me from most of these podcasters out there, is the value that I bring of making my guests feel like they matter, not just another person on the microphone.
Do you have any comedy in do you insert any humor to maybe lighten up some of the topics or the subject matter?
Oh, yeah. We joke around. You can't be serious all the time when you're on the podcast. You have to have levity. If you don't have any levity on your show, then what's the point of podcasting? You want to attract people. You don't want to push people away from your show and what you're doing. So what I found is it's a good mix. You can talk about the serious, but at the same time, you can joke around. You can have a laugh. You can enjoy yourself. What's the point of doing a podcast if you can't enjoy yourself doing it?
Do you pull the levity out of your guest, or are you the one that inserts the levity into your show?
I think I pull it out of them, because I'll make a remark or I'll say something funny and they'll laugh, and then they'll make a joke about it as well. I think it has to be 50-50. You can't be the joker all the time, but you can't be the person that's having the guest do it all the time as well. It has to be a good mix.
I like that.
It's an art form. It's an art form to like find the balance between the humor, the information, the heart, and it's just something I think that organically comes out in conversation.
Absolutely.
You know, if we're talking about, you know, job loss, probably not going to be a lot of humor in there, but we could talk about how your mom's still broke, you know, and we could throw in funny jokes and shit and make it good. But I really just, like, to me, I think it's an art form. It's an art form because the to me, the perfect podcast episode is an emotional roller coaster ride. It's like an Adam Sandler movie. I made you laugh. I made you cry. I brought out emotions. I made you think about something that maybe you see in an unconventional way now. But the idea is, to me, is 94% of the reason why people will watch media on social is because they have a perception they're going to learn something new. So if the value's not there, if they're not learning something new, I ain't doing my job right. Humor aside.
So what I love to leave people with is when I'm doing my show is I tell them, no matter what anybody tells you, if you found your purpose, live it. Because people always try to tell other people how to live their lives. But if they found something that makes them and gives them meaning, go for it, do it. There's nothing better in this world than finding your purpose and going out there and doing what you feel is right for you.
And just like a chick you're really into, you'll go way longer and it'll be a better experience. So there you go, guys. So how can they find your podcast?
So my podcast is Frankly Francisco Podcast. I am on every social media platform you could think of, from Tumblr to Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook, everything. I try to get myself out to as many outlets as I can. You can find me on every streaming service out there as well. And hopefully some people will tune in and see the message that I'm trying to bring to everybody.
Love it. Thank you, buddy.
Awesome. Frankie, thank you, buddy.
Frankly Francisco. Great to have you, man.
Hey, I'm going to take over as host. Yeah.
Wait. Jason.
What? Oh, yeah, stay. Go. You stay. You do. Come. Robin, you're up. You're taking the primary. You're on your own. Just go. Yeah, you're on. Just ask me a question. I'll join you in a little bit.
Next on the Owl Podcast, here we go. Our new host, Robin Diamond. And this is a speed podcast, so we got 10 minutes total. Go ahead, Robin.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to meet with you. My name is Robin. I want to introduce our guest right now, and then I'm going to jump into some questions for you. So can you take a second to introduce you and what you do?
So my name is Jess, and I am a life coach.
You're a life coach? Amazing. Okay, and what do you specialize in?
I specialize in helping women get to where they are and where they want to be. So I bridge the gap.
I love that. That's amazing. All right, and then for you, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Jeff Ray. I'm an artist, and I create large sculptures all over the world.
Cool. Love it. Okay, so I have a couple questions for you. First, let's start off. Why are you doing this? What's your passion? What led you to do this?
Numbers in here. Okay, so what led me to do this is I was working a 9-to-5 in corporate America in finance, and I was just miserable, and I knew there was something greater. So I went through a huge transition, had a spiritual awakening, went through a divorce, like completely changed my entire life. I quit the job, and I just took a leap of faith, and I knew I was here to serve people.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know the capacity, but going through life and learning the lessons that I've learned, there are so many people that are in my position that I was in, currently, and I want to help them overcome whatever it is that they're facing. Because you don't have to stay trapped, and you don't have to stay miserable. Like, you can create your own life, and it can be something so beautiful. So I feel like my impact will be telling my story and helping people get from where they are now, unhappy, unfulfilled, to a place of fulfillment, of healing and wholeness.
Okay, I love that. And if anybody wanted to get in contact with you, because we need to drop that now before we get cut off, how do people find you? How do they connect with you so that they can feel what you've been feeling?
Yeah, so currently, my Instagram is Jess, JESS _model, MODEL 369.
That's nice. I'm not going to throw my favorite song in there, but yeah, okay, great. All right, can you tell us why you're doing what you're doing?
What I do as a career, or what I'm doing?
What's your passion?
My passion is art and creating moments in the world that people can appreciate, be part of. So my quick story is 35 years old, a 9-to-5er, heart attack, triple bypass surgery,
Wow.
cashed out my 401k,
Wow.
and did art competitions. And then I won close to $1 million in my first year in public art competitions. And now I do is create icons all over the world. My largest one that was just finished is my homeland, the Philippines, 28 stories tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty. And my dream is to create the next Eiffel Tower, St. Louis Arch, to create these monuments that haven't been created in the last couple centuries, create and leave a mark in the landscape.
I think that's so important. So, the fact that you had a heart attack, it got your attention. The best thing that ever happened to me was I had a stroke 12 years ago.
Wow.
And it is the best blessing in my life because it makes you become a creator.
The worst and the blessing.
It's the worst. I can't even say it's the worst. It's the best. It honestly takes your attention and grabs it and makes you do something else. So both of you having a story, both of you bringing that passion into your life, I think that's what it's about. Jason, who runs the OWL, he helps people with that. He helps mentor this. He's allowed me to be on the podcast, but I love your story. I love that you're helping different people. How do people get in contact with you who are listening?
So my IG is JEFRE_artist.
Okay, are either one of you on LinkedIn? Just in case. Okay, tell us your LinkedIn too.
LinkedIn is just JEFRE, my last name, which is MANUEL.
Oh, we gotta do a LinkedIn. All right.
I just started my business, so
That's okay. I didn't know LinkedIn was so important until I got one. About 5 years ago, have 26,000 connections on it. So it's never too late. I started after 35, so I know a lot of Botox in this face. You can't tell.
Oh,
All right. One other question I actually got to ask. I got this asked to me today. If you could tell yourself in only 3 words something in a year, what would you say? So for me, I said, we did it. That was my 3 words. So what are your 3 words that you would tell yourself at the end of this year? Take the leap. You?
Oh my God.
That's your 3 words. It's like that you can't even put into words what's
Can't
going
even
to
words.
happen.
OMG. Oh my God. That's what I'm going to say. By the end of the year, you can interpret it in a good way or a bad way, but I'm going to live my best life.
Love is the best life. Okay. Who has impacted your life the most? You got to pick one person.
that's a hard one.
Is he next?
So it's different phases of life, right?
Are you guys next? Or you go? Did you go already? Are you going tomorrow?
Abraham Hicks has really changed my perspective on who and what I am as a spiritual being. I feel that had the most impact. My partner has had a major impact in my life, and then my kids, and my grandma, my grandson. I need to walk.
He's a grandma. Did you hear that?
I did, and she just keeps dropping these bombs on me, and I'm supposed to look here calm, cool, and collective, and it's not happening. So if you have not connected with this woman to look this amazing, to get obviously some spiritual help and some spiritual guidance, I would say this is, and honestly, every woman needs, and I am not outlining the guys, because this is Jason's podcast, so I'm not, but everyone needs a squad. You need a squad. You need people who support you in your goals, and I do believe it's in phases. All right, can I ask you, who is the person who made the biggest impact?
I guess of recently, God rest his soul, Virgil Abloh. So Virgil Abloh was an architect, started like me from Chicago. He passed away. He started the Off-White brand and then became this fashion creative that became the lead designer for Louis Vuitton. Then just passed away a year ago. But he was someone that was a creative that these high brands or these people who never would look at a street artist to collaborate with. It's because us creatives are the ones that are shaping and influencing how we live lives, what we drive, what we wear, what we eat. And I think it's people like him that has set the door or opened the door for all of us creatives.
It's starting to become more of a curator, not as a creator anymore, economy, and we're seeing it. So it went from creator economy to curator. And when you just mentioned his name, bringing all these things together, being able to bring the art together, being able to bring AI and the future together, you're being able to mold what the next generation is going to see. That's super exciting. I'm excited for you. Maybe I'm like nerding out for him a little bit. What is the biggest challenge you faced this past year in becoming an entrepreneur?
Okay, we are wrapping up. Last 30 seconds. Go.
All right, biggest challenge.
Getting out of my own way.
Oh, amazing. That is our recipe.
Working on more complex projects brings more complex problems, but then also brings much more enjoyment and excitement when you finish at the end. And it's really bringing joy and smiles to people through art is what I've really been inspired.
Love it. If you guys haven't connected with them, please connect with them. You heard their names earlier. I think this is a great opportunity for me. My biggest challenge and what I've been able to do is honestly just, like you said, get out of my own way. And that's what I'm learning. So hopefully we'll connect and stay connected. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Sorry? No, you don't get one of these. Oh, you know what? We're not on here. I don't know why they didn't put us on here. We're not on. It was from a year ago. All right, welcome. Okay, I'm going to have you introduce yourself. So if you don't mind, say your name, just so everybody knows your first and last name and what you do. So I'll start with you.
So I'm Anu Bardwaj. I'm the founder and CTO of Sheconomy. And Sheconomy is the world's first and only podcast listening app where the voices of women are amplified on Android, iOS, KaiOS, and a new platform called Geo that's now reaching over 500 million devices in over 195 countries.
And I hope no one minds me, but I'm fangirling because we sat on a panel over a year and a half ago in a totally different life. And so I'm kind of excited that how we're sitting next to each other, but she does some amazing things. So make sure you connect with her. All right, can you share who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Dr. Lulu. I am a pediatrician. I'm also the CEO of Dr. Lulu's Coaching and Consulting Lounge. I'm a mom of a transgender young adult, and so I'm a radical advocate for transgender and gender diversity.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, some hard questions, if you don't mind. If you want to say pass, say pass. All right. Why are you doing this? What's your passion and what led you to this? Quickly.
So there's 30% of the world's population that are still not connected on mobile phones. And one of the things we did at Sheconomy is from the very beginning when we were building our app at the kitchen table during homeschooling, we said those are the people that we need to reach immediately. And many of them are women and girls. And so we started building on $10 phones, $100 laptops, low-cost devices, so the bottom billion would have access, and now we've done it. So we're really thrilled to be here.
I think that's so incredible. And if you haven't heard the whole story, you can connect with her by what's the best way for people to connect with you?
They can go to Sheconomy on any platform. It's spelled SHEQONOMI, and it's on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're on, I believe we're also on Instagram. So just pick your poison.
Follow her on LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to love what she's doing in the world. All right, Dr. Lulu, please tell me what led you to this and your passion.
So when I was 16, I told my dad that I liked girls and boys. And my dad did what most parents who don't know any better will do. He said, very gently, very lovingly, he suggested that it's a phase. And I believed him because it's what kids do. So I grew up and I was 42 and I was like, Dad, that phase, remember that phase is not phasing out. And you'd think I would be smarter. But when my own child said, Mom, I'm trans. I went the opposite direction, almost similar to what my father did. I was begging God, I don't want this. I don't want this child. I don't want any pain. I don't want my child to go through this. Even as I know the mental health, substance abuse, and the suicide rate amongst transgender. I have a TED talk about that. Still, I was caught up in the society's expectations and lies. And I almost missed the mark and almost lost a child because I believed falsely. So today I'm a radical advocate. I'm an activist, fearless. I'm like, bring it, let's go. And that's it. That's all she wrote, really.
I don't think we can tell that you're fearless. I can tell. Okay, real quick question then for you is how do people connect with you? They're seeing this, they're hearing this, they might be going through their own situation. How do they connect with you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
So my podcast is called Moms for Trans Kids Podcast. You can find us, follow us. You can actually send us an email, momsfortranskids@gmail.com. The number 4 for trans kids. But I'm also on social media at Dr. Lulu Talk Radio on IG. And on Facebook, I go by Mom. I'm a mom, a pediatrician, mom-trician. But really, if you Google Dr. Lulu Oprah, you'll see me into Auntie Oprah on an interview. Yes.
She just dropped the Oprah thing. I hope you guys are listening to that. All right. If you could tell yourself 3 words at the end of this year, someone asked me this question. If you could tell yourself 3 words at the end of this year, what would those be? And for me, it was, we did it. That was my 3 words. So what would be your 3 words at closing 2024 going into 2025?
It would be girl, keep fighting.
Okay.
Straight up. Girl, keep fighting.
It would be listen, learn, and earn, because that's all we do and all we intend to do.
Listen, earn. I like that.
Listen,
Learn and earn. Okay. What is because you're both moms, because you both shared that, what is the hardest balance right now between being a mom and an entrepreneur?
So, believe it or not, my youngest child went off to college last summer. He graduated from high school on June 6th, and his father passed away on June 7th. So suddenly I became the only parent of 3 children. So luckily for me, though, my youngest is in college. I give myself permission to do what I'm calling reverse empty nesting. So I moved out of the house, sold the house, and moved to Atlanta last week. So I would say, for me, I'm finally at the point where I am relatively free because all my kids are now adults and on their own. So I'm now ready to take off and fly and just keep fighting.
I love the story. Love that, how you connect with that. We're going to wrap it up. One thing that you could say, real quick advice. We have 1 minute. What would you say to the audience that's out there?
I would say please check us out at Sheconomy and follow your inner voice, and give more people an opportunity to hear diverse voices, because there's a lot of people that have a lot to say and we haven't heard them yet. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you all.
Okay, thank you.
Can you grab that woman in the white, grab her, and bring her over here? I can get her information. Okay. Picture. Please come to the table. Jason,
picture of me, please.
Okay, you're good to go. Oh, wait, did you go get that? Should
Guess who's in the house? Dan left me with a microphone alone. Hi. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you today?
Good. I'm super excited to be able to have a chance with you. We have Jason joining us.
Okay, this is my first time finally to relax on the Owl Podcast. Okay, who are we joined by today?
Hi, my name is Karen Freeland. I am a life reinvention coach, award-winning author, and a recovered corporate workaholic. So,
I think Robin can relate. Recovering.
Recovering workaholic.
Say that one more time. Recovered.
Yes.
Workaholic.
I haven't got
Robin, do we have this a little bit?
I mean, I don't know if I have the recovered part down, but I do have the workaholic part down.
Yeah,
So I'll add another.
That's okay. There's always time to change. And I'm going to give both of you a sticker. I made stickers here for PodFest. So we'll help you rock your reinvention.
Ooh.
Love this.
Okay, so tell us how you're going to make a dent in this world.
And you. oh gosh, every day I get to wake up and coach amazing women who know that they're made for more. They know that they have more to give this world, but they're scared. You know, we've been told as a society that you're only as good as your paycheck, that you're supposed to just get a job and have benefits and all that kind of stuff. And it's like totally rewiring their brain and being like, no, you have permission to do things completely differently and forget what you're hearing in society. So you get to be that lone voice.
What's the biggest challenge you went through this past year?
This past year. So I was writing a book. My second book just came out, Grab Life by the Dreams. And I think we always have an optimistic outlook, like how things are going to go. But the day of my book launch, I got informed by the place that I was doing my book signing that the books didn't come in. And it was that roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, everything you worked for, here is your moment to shine. These people are coming to your event tonight. They expect to walk away with a book. And you have to go there, put on a smiling face, and just, there's nothing you could do about it, you know? So I think it's surrendering, being able to finally let go of that perfectionism and thinking that things are going to go the way I've planned it, and just being like, nope, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And you know what? I didn't die. It was okay. And everyone was super understanding. But just when you work so hard for something and you see that moment and it doesn't go the way you want it,
right? It just
is.
stings.
It's
You're like,
hard.
I invested so much time, so much money.
Yep.
I told everyone how proud they're going to be about that book, and then they get there and there is no book.
Yeah, no book. It was devastating, but it was like that. So funny. Got in the car and I listen to a lot of Christian music. I don't know if anybody else likes contemporary Christian music, but there was this song that came on called Ebb and Flow, and it was like, everyone has bad days, like just we have to go with the ebb and the flow. And I was like, okay, thank you, God, I hear you. I'm gonna like stop having my little pity party now.
So how do you actually practice that? Because everyone says it is what it is. Don't take stuff so personal. But you know something that it's just hard to just like brush it off, right? We were here at PodfestExpo and we had an internet issue and we're streaming live, and it's like, how do you just like ignore it? Like people are, you know, knocking on your door and they're like, "Where's the book?" And you're like,
yeah.
How do you actually practice what you're talking about?
Well, I don't think that you do ignore it, right? Because I think that's the problem. It's like that push it down, push it down. I mean, I ignored for years the signs that I was not supposed to be in corporate anymore. I'm crying in my car, I'm crying in the bathroom, and I didn't want to acknowledge it. So I think there is that being open and honest and transparent with yourself and being like, okay, this sucks. I'm really upset. I worked so hard for this moment. And what can I control? What can I actually do? So I went out and I bought a whole bunch of gift cards and little things, and I made goodie bags, and we did a raffle. So some people didn't have to leave empty-handed, and that made me feel like, okay, good. They came for a show, they got something out of it, and that was the best that I could do in that moment.
Love it. Robin, you could relate to this. Come on, you're always putting out flyers as an entrepreneur.
My life. I don't know if we're supposed to be sold.
We're friends.
I felt
Ship her to South Florida. She's in.
I mean, yeah, you're in. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
That is exactly what we're going through. And I think that's every entrepreneur's life, actually, every day.
But normalize it, right? Because I think this has been one of the hardest things, I think, being an entrepreneur is not letting the comparison steal your joy, right? And so you're scrolling on Instagram and you see another coach who's making 7 figures, apparently, did it overnight.
Who's
and they're
not? Who's not?
right?
This podcast is not making 7 figures.
Right?
Seriously.
And so we look at that and go, well, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, wait, maybe you're doing nothing wrong. Maybe, I don't need 7 figures. I actually don't need 7 figures to live a wonderful, fulfilling life. I'm okay where I'm at. Doesn't mean I don't want to grow. It doesn't mean I don't have bigger aspirations, but turning inward, looking back at my why. Why am I doing this? What is the life I designed? And I'm going to get what I need. Being okay with that.
Love it. Okay, I have to ask you, if you had to tell yourself 3 words at the end of this year to wrap up 2024, going into 25, you have to say 3 words that you could just tell yourself. What would those 3 words be?
You did it.
Yes, love it.
Like,
Those were my
I'm
words.
manifesting
today.
it.
Yes,
It's happening.
you did it. That was my words. I love it.
Yeah.
Jesus, feel that energy.
Silence over
I
here.
know.
I'm in
I
silence.
was like, what else do you want to know? I'm an open book, literally. My first book. Ready for this?
Oh,
$1
yeah. How do people
billion
connect with you?
sales.
If,
Oh, yeah.
If people want to follow you right now, I know you have it right here,
Okay.
but read it to everybody.
I'm on all the places. KarenFreeland.com, KARIN, last name Freeland, FREELAND. Go check me out from there. You can find all my socials. I mostly hang out in my Facebook group called Successful Working Women Rocking Reinvention, but you can also listen to the show and you can
Why
find
I'm
it from the
silent over
website.
here. I'm not allowed to join all this funness over here. It's all for females. This is not
Well,
fair.
I know, but I think a lot of the things that I talk about are really relevant for anyone. But there's not a lot of resources all the time for women. So I really want to do something for those, fellow people like me who have struggled.
Well, I
to
got
really
some
find the
good
voice.
news for you because we are going to add a feature onto the Owl app. We're going to allow groups to be pinned to the top categories on the homepage.
Nice.
So you two ladies, one day we're going to trial that. We're going to pin your group. As long as you have a large enough group, of course.
Yeah.
And all the females could call each other on the Owl app. One-on-one, act about anything personal or business.
Love it. Sold. I'm down for it.
If you haven't been on the Owl app, do it. I promise it'll change your life. You connect with people that become lifelong friends. And I get to say this because I don't work for Jason. This is not part. I don't get any promotion for
You
it.
don't work for us?
Wait, what?
You don't work
so just being a person that's been last guest on this and being able to connect, and I found some really great people. And sitting next to you will probably be lifelong friends in a year talking about this podcast.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to dig in.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us on the Owl Podcast today. Everybody listening, we'll be back with our next guest shortly.
We don't have any guests. I'm trying to get. I keep asking people to guess. Yes. I just need your information. What's your name? Austin. You can't go on.
Because isn't life really all about acceptance, accepting each other, accepting one another, accepting airdrops?
Did we just jump right into something? Are we hosting our own podcast? Did Jason leave us alone unattended?
This is what I do. This is. I don't like restraints. I can't be restrained. Here we go. We got a guess.
Hello, welcome. So nice to meet you.
John, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Robin. Can you go ahead and tell everyone what your name is?
So there we go. Wrote to hang myself.
Bruce, why don't you tell your name and what you do?
I'm Bruce Wozniak. I'm an OWL ambassador.
Oh, I know you. Have we met in person yet or no? Is this the first? It's got to be the first time. All right.
Yeah, I do a lot.
You're in control of my loudness.
That is the best.
But I also host 2 podcasts.
All right, want to tell everybody about what 2 podcasts are?
Yes, I do. All podcasters want to tell everybody what their podcasts are about. I am coming up on the 10-year anniversary of my Now Hear This Entertainment podcast. The 10-year anniversary is going to be February 17th. I've never missed a week once in 10 years.
Wow.
And I interview guests who are having success in entertainment, primarily music. And then I also host Catholic Sports Radio, which is coming up on its 5-year anniversary. I've never missed a week in 5 years of doing that one. And that's going to be February 1st, will be 5 years. And I interview Catholic guests who are current or former athletes, coaches, referees, umpires, clergy, administrators, etc., about the intersection of their faith life and their sports life. So a lot of times I will tell people what the podcast is not, is they hear Catholic Sports Radio and I say, I don't report scores or talk about wins and losses or statistics.
Awesome. The fact that you did 10 years and 5 years without missing a day, I mean, that's next level.
Right.
I think it's stubbornness. I think it's dedication, and I think it's enjoyment. I obviously love doing it.
So one of the biggest challenges that YouTubers have, podcasters have, and I'd love to hear actually both of your opinions on this, is burnout. When you take somebody that's been doing something consistently for 10 years, 5 years, my challenge as a content creator, always coming up with new ideas, finding ways to inspire an audience and growing an audience, but it's hard because we're not ideas machines. We weren't meant to treat life like episodic entertainment television. So how did you pull that off? How have you been able to, for 10 years, consistently every week come up with something new?
Well, two ways. Number one, and this is what it says on my LinkedIn profile, I came to terms with the fact that I was blessed with the gift of gab. So, as evidenced by what we're doing here, I'm not bashful. So, when you have that trait, it's a lot easier than the people that sit there and get nervous. What am I going to talk about and everything to say? And secondly, when you do an interview style podcast, it's really the burden is a little bit more on the guest than it is on the host. And as we all know, those of us that do interview style podcasts, if you get a bad guest who's just giving you yes and no answers, or you say something that requires a big long answer, they tell it to you in one or two sentences, you're in trouble. So then it does become, how do you keep it fresh and how do you keep that alive? Obviously, you hope that those are the exception and not the rule. But I think because you go into every episode knowing that I'm going to hear a different story, in the case of Now Hear This Entertainment, I want there to be lessons for the audience members who are aspiring performers themselves. So it's also an opportunity for me to learn things as a publicist and hear those lessons from the guests. So I think that's kind of what helps it stay fresh for me and not get burned out, is you're going to hear all these cool stories. I mean, on Catholic Sports Radio, I've had grown men who are crying, sharing their testimony and telling what they went through. Now, I will say, full disclosure, both of my shows are audio only. So, yeah, there are times when I think to myself, and once in a blue moon, I will say, audience, if this was a video podcast, you would see such and such across the bottom of the screen or whatever it is. So maybe it loses something that you do have someone that's emotionally, quote unquote, breaking down. But I think those compelling stories keep me so interested that I don't consider something like, this is becoming too difficult every week I don't have to, what am I going to talk about this week? I'm going to talk about the guest.
Love that. And I think that at the end of the day, I don't know of a consumption style that's easier than podcasting. Podcasting is probably the most consumable content because it's so versatile. You could be driving, you could be cooking, you could be doing so many things. What's your favorite way to consume a podcast?
My favorite way, why I'm in the cold plunge every morning. So I'm going to go off of what burnout is. I believe that you have to challenge yourself. Navy SEALs say your mind will give up, or your body will give up after your mind does. So every day I do one challenge that absolutely frightens me. And getting in the cold plunge is when I listen to podcasts, because if I can stay in there in 32-degree water, I can do anything for the rest of the day. And I do it every single morning that I'm home.
See, that's a good reason, because it's like I just can't wrap my head around doing the cold plunge thing. It just sounds like absolute torture.
I'm inviting you to do it, and I promise you will change your life.
Okay, what's the address? Where are we going?
I'm not going to give my home address.
I mean, you said you invited me over to do the cold plunge.
I will invite anybody, but honestly, it has been, someone challenged me to do 75 hard. I did 75 hard. After 75 hard, they were like, hey, you should do contrast therapy. And it's honestly that burnout changes, because if you're doing something every day and you have a focus, it, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a podcaster, as everything, all of a sudden you're like, I can do this. It's just 4 minutes, or it's just an hour a week.
What is 75 hard? I've never heard of that.
Oh boy.
So for 75 days, it's no drinking, 2 workouts a day. 1 has to be outside. I'm in Utah 2 weeks ago, and it was 1 degree, and I was outside because you have to get that workout in.
Wow.
You have to eat a certain diet. And I promise you, after that, that's been the most success in my business, has come from the times I've challenged myself and challenged my team, because you're so focused on other things that you can't let the small things bother you.
Right. Great self-awareness. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you sitting with me. I guess Jason's got you here. You can hang out. We'll bring on another one.
Okay, are you an hour already? Okay, let me just see. I don't think anyone's up on board, so keep talking. I have you here, so all I need is your. I got it. She's gonna come right on in. Okay, and then just your phone. Guys, the mics. Sorry, I just I'm doing too many drops on this. Okay. 719 Okay, you're good because I got you right. Go right on, guys. You have a guess. Tell either if you want to stay, then ask Jonathan. Either or, we'll swap you back in. Jonathan. You cannot talk. You gotta keep it moving. There's a guess. Hold on. Yes.
All right, we have our next person coming up. All right, welcome back.
Bruce, staying. No, Bruce, staying. You're staying. Go. You're the guest. Bruce and you are host.
You're all set. I do have it set for all 3 days, but if you decide to only do it for today, just let me know.
Okay.
I'll pass by.
Okay.
Thanks.
And just call after. You want to
There we go.
wait on
Co-pilot. What am I, purple?
1 2 1 2.
Keep me low. Keep you guys high. Keep you guys real high. How you doing today? Okay, so we're joined by another beautiful guest. What's your name? What brings you here this year?
My name is Kristen Marvin.
Make sure to talk nice and close to that mic. We're gonna get you. They lowered it for me.
Check.
There you go. A little more. Give me a little more.
Check.
There we go. That'll work. So what brings you here this year?
This is my first year at PodFest, and I launched my podcast in October. And I am soaking up all the knowledge I can to figure out how to market it better, grow it.
So I guess like the big question is like, what's your unique angle? What's your USP when it comes to your podcast? What makes it different?
Yeah, so my podcast is specifically for local restaurant owners and managers. It's called the No Hesitations Podcast. It's an ode to Anthony Bourdain from the show No Reservations.
Oh my God, love me some Anthony Bourdain.
Me too. I've spent the last 20 years growing local restaurants, and it's where my heart lies and where my passion is. And I am on a mission to support owners and leaders in the restaurant industry to help the local restaurants, all local restaurants be sustainable.
I love that so much because restaurants are tough. Restaurants are especially family owned, brick and mortar, because the margins are historically relatively tight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even for something like marketing, oftentimes it gets thrown out the door because the margins are tight. So what are some of the strategies that you help some of these, business owners, these restaurateurs? How do you help them or guide them through this process to gain more customers?
Yeah, so I really focus with restaurant owners on preventing burnout and increasing retention because, like you said, restaurant owners wear all the hats and they're not necessarily experts in marketing or finances. So I help them really focus on where to spend their time and their energy to get the best bang and make their businesses profitable and sustainable and have a great work-life balance because restaurant owners and leaders are some of the hardest working people I've ever met.
60, 80-hour weeks.
Absolutely. So if I can help them work smarter and be really efficient and effective with where they're spending their time, and again, keep them in the industry forever, that's the goal.
I love that. And I would love your perspective on this as well, my friend.
Yeah.
Business owners, I just want to throw this in your direction here, your perspective. This is such an underlying theme from like all of the different guests I've spoken to. People confuse being good at an industry or trade with running a business. So, for example, if I want to own a restaurant, I might be very passionate about creating a certain product. Maybe it's a grandmother's recipe, book, or what have you I created. That doesn't mean I'm a great leader. That doesn't mean I understand finances. It doesn't mean I understand marketing. And it's been fascinating to see me communicate with so many business owners that sometimes they didn't realize that going in, that there's a lot more skills that go into this than just the trade that you specialize in. What are your thoughts of that?
I totally agree. I mean, one of the things I specifically wanted to ask you is what's the one specific thing that is the burnout killer? Because I get what you're saying. I mean, I as a stand-up comic working with comedy clubs that are in restaurants, there is a turnover rate that's staggering. One day, the manager's booking you, and you come back, and the dishwasher's booking you, because like the turnover rate is crazy. What's that one specific thing that you have found is like the biggest burnout nugget?
It's the restaurant owner or leader trying to do all the things on their own and not developing their leaders. If they can develop, and it doesn't have to be adding more salaried managers to their restaurant, if they can develop and find skill sets in their employees, whether it's a server or bartender or busser or whatever it is, and they can delegate areas of responsibility and duties from their restaurant and help the team grow and elevate, they are not only developing their team, they're putting future leaders in place, but they're also, again, making their jobs easier so they can focus where they want to focus in the business.
Do you also have tips for the bottom employees to keep their retention rate because they're not making a lot of money, they're working hard?
Yeah.
You have some tips for them that you can give the entrepreneur so that the retention is a little longer for those?
Absolutely. I think that first and foremost, when you're interviewing for a position, you need to be very clear on what those expectations of the role is before you sign up and what the money is going to look like so that you can budget accordingly to live the lifestyle that you want. You also want to be very curious and constantly growing and learning in your position and voicing what you want growth to look like in your role. And you've got to spend time in position and become the expert in what you're doing before you can move up. And that's hard for some people to digest sometimes because people want to move very, very quickly throughout the ranks. And it takes time and expertise.
You're going to make a great owl ambassador. You got knowledge, baby. You got knowledge.
There's that plug.
What?
There we go. And you know what? But it's like, I think it just needs to be said sometimes. Sometimes you're just going to have to eat the shit. And it's like, I also want to support the people that are in the grind right now. It's like, it's my first year being in business as well. And I've been very successful, but it's also understand, like, you got to be patient with yourself. You got to give yourself some compassion. There's going to be hard days and nights, but people that avoid that work altogether or trying to find a way out, it's like, I'd say you gotta treat every chapter of the journey with compassion because there will be plenty of them. And the struggles you're going through right now, I'm sure it's teaching you a lesson for later.
Yeah, and that compassion has to start with yourself first, right?
Right,
and
right,
then
right.
And then it'll spread to every area of your business. I mean, running restaurants for 20 years, I have been used to doing everything on my own too. And one of my biggest challenges with starting my business was knowing when to slow down and check in on the quality of what I'm doing and not burn myself out. And when you're an entrepreneur, like the only person that's going to hold you accountable is you, right?
It is, yeah. It's interesting how we all kind of work based off of results. We're all performance based, and that was a big shift going from employee to this. It's like, it's all on you, and you can't have those bad days because clients are watching everything. So it's been a journey, but thank you so much for joining, and thank you for what you've shared. Some wisdom on owl. And thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining as well. Let's get the next one in. Who wants to take a seat with John? Hey, we could get this guy in, or we could get that guy in. Switch. Let's do a little switch. Oh shit! Now we official. Podfest. Yay! Podfest. We're here. All right. I want to get this guy soon. I want to get where'd Enrique go? Enrique too. In the middle. In the middle. In the middle. All right.
What's up?
What's up? Hi.
Yeah, this is
Hi.
my second time.
John, nice to meet you.
Karen,
Do we know each
hello.
other? Or is this the
We
first?
don't.
Okay.
No, I'm Karen Freeland. I'm the host of Rock Your Reinvention.
Rock your reinvention.
Yeah. Because, life's no fun without reinventing.
And it's something that really resonates with me because like I've been learning through my own life is like I think there's the assumption that there's one hero's journey when there's actually dozens, thousands of hero's journeys. Starting out, ordinary life, call to action, something interesting happens. We follow our hearts. We got burned along the way, breakups, lose a couple houses, lose a couple $1,000, and here we are. But so yeah, talk to me about that reinventing. It seems like a popular topic in our society today, huh?
Well, it's kind of crazy because I was reinventing before I really realized what I was doing. So if I go way back to the beginning of my career, I was an actress. I was living in South Florida, in Miami, chasing my dreams. I was on the movie From Justin to Kelly, and then moved to New York City, was kind of doing more things there. I was on some dating shows and things, and had a blast. And then I was like, you know what? I'm 24, but I don't have a lot of money in the bank. I got to go get a job. So I went into corporate and I got addicted to the money drug. And I stayed there for 15 years trying to climb the corporate ladder, completely burnt out, crying in my car, like, what is this life for? And then I ended up leaving, writing 2 books, starting a business as a life coach, and I've reinvented myself. But it's like, wait a second, this isn't actually a new thing for me. I've done this before. And so many other amazing people are out there reinventing their lives. So I just love to bring cool people on my show, other women who have done this and reinvented in some capacity so that they can share their story and we can inspire others to take up a faith bet on themselves.
What do you think that first, the first thought in reinvention? Is it something that you are in a job and you're thinking about something that you want to do, or is it something where you just go, I'm quitting a job and I'm just going to float around and figure out something and then reinvent?
Okay, so
which is the chicken or the egg?
Yeah. No, you definitely are like in this place where you just feel stuck and you feel frustrated and you have no idea what you actually want to do with your life. You just know the thing you're doing right now is not working. So I generally don't advocate for my clients to just walk in and be like, peace out and quit the day job. I mean, most of the people I coach are making 6 figures. That's a really hard pill to swallow and to walk away from. But what I do is I help them create their exit strategy. So we look at over the course of 6 months, like, what do you need to do to set yourself up for success so that you can go follow this dream? Do you need more savings? Do you need to take some classes? Maybe you want to start a business, but you don't really know like the back end of things or how to do SEO or marketing or whatever. Like, let's get you into classes so that you can feel more confident to step out and make that change.
That's awesome.
I did not know when I left, we got laid off. We got laid off in August of 2020. I did not know I was going to become a life coach. I was going to write 2 books. I just had 1 book in the can. I was almost getting ready to produce it and put it out there. And it was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, here we go. I'm going to be an author. And then I started exploring things. And I was like, wait a second, I could be a coach. And it just serendipitously happened because I was open to the opportunities in front of me. And I think that's the biggest thing. We have to be present to the signs from the universe or whoever your higher power is that's guiding you and just be ready to receive those messages.
I knew I wanted to do stand-up comic when I was in my corporate job. I was a top sales guy in my company.
Wow.
And one of the companies I sold for was Castex.
Mm-hmm.
Castex, they sell
right back,
carpet,
guys.
shampoo cleaner, like all this carpet here. Somebody has to clean that.
Right.
So the products that you use to clean that was the company Castex, and whoever sold the most products won a cruise. And I'm like, I'm going to win this cruise. In the process, I decided that I wanted to quit the job before the contest was over to do stand-up.
Yeah.
And as luck would have it, I got hired to do comedy on a cruise ship that the winning was that ship.
Oh my gosh.
What
was your people from your job on the cruise? Did they see your stuff?
The owner took you would think the second highest sales guy would be the guy to take the trip, but no, since I quit, the owner took the trip.
No, he didn't.
And he was in the audience on the cruise ship that I was performing, and I called him out. It was the most satisfying feeling I had.
Oh, I bet.
In my entire life.
Oh, yeah. I could totally relate to that. I had this whole fantasy one time when I was in my job, and I was literally presenting to the president, and he made a really nasty comment. He said, I'm bored, right in the middle of my presentation. And I was like, I wanted to get up on that conference table and go, you're bored? I'm freaking bored, and kick every single executive's laptop off the desk. I mean, this is like functional crazy, right? But like, that's when you know you're in the wrong spot, when you actually want to like call people out like that, right?
He said you're bored. You should have said, how dare you?
Right? I mean, like, who are you? But you know what? These were those defining moments that were telling me this life isn't for you anymore. You got to get out. And so like just repeatedly, they say if you don't learn the lesson the first time, you keep learning it over and over and over. And that's exactly what was happening for me. So I just try to inspire people through my show to not wait and not need the signs so many times. Like, just you get 1 or 2 signs, like, it's time. Let's go. Let's make your exit plan.
I'm excited to see your show, and I want to have you on my podcast.
You.
For sure.
I would love that. That would be so much fun.
One of the speakers today was talking about, the universe, that whole thing. And that's what it's making me think of is if you start seeing all those signs, then you say clearly, and if it's something that you've really spent a lot of time thinking about, someone who hasn't started a podcast yet, or they have, and they say, this is what I want to do next with my podcast, go ahead and take that next step.
Totally.
Especially because in podcasting, you're for all intents and purposes. I mean, there's obviously corporate environments, but you're essentially your own boss. So you have the freedom, you have the liberty to test something out, and if it doesn't work, then you abandon it. And if you test it out and it works, awesome. But if you don't do it, then it's one of those you're never going to know what would have happened if you tried.
Yeah, like you don't have to have it all figured out. And I know, especially type A personalities like me, we want the whole plan. We want to know how to get from A to Z. But you know what? Sometimes all you have to do is take that one step to get to B, and C and D and all the rest, it'll work itself out.
There it is.
Totally.
Me both, because Mark Katz was speaking earlier today, and Mark was talking about the people that want everything plotted out every step of the way. And I was like, that's me. He's talking about me.
Sometimes you got to start ugly,
Yeah.
and let the universe help you sort it out.
Yep. I always say, like, I've written a couple of books, and people always say, well, Karen, how do I write a book? And I'm like, you literally open up a Word doc and you put words on paper. Like, write that first draft, because it's going to be so bad. I mean, both drafts of my books were bad when they started. That's why you hire an amazing editor who turns it into something brilliant. Like, but if you don't take the moment to just take that messy action and put the garbage down on paper, you never get to the good product there,
Yep. Yeah. That's like my brother has this joke about, you can feel better about yourself by making this ridiculous to-do list that's like so easy that the first thing on it is wake up in the morning. The second thing is get out of bed.
Yes.
The third thing is change out of my bed. It's like
That's basic.
now you're checking all these things off and you're like, hey, I'm actually making some progress.
I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right, to get started. And
For you
sometimes
to
it is that
say,
simple.
Open your laptop, open up Microsoft Word, start typing words. Oh, I'm checking off 3 things here.
Yeah, people think there's some magical formula. Like, no, there's no magical formula. You just do. You do the thing you want to do. You want to start becoming a speaker? Guess what? You sign up to be on the Owl app and you start talking to people and find ways to start speaking. You know what I mean? Like, it's that simple.
There it is.
I think you would probably say that once you finish your first book, you think to yourself,
Okay, guys, that's going to wrap up today's interview. Last 30 seconds, rapid fire.
All right, just go for your dreams.
Closing statement.
my closing statement is a combination of everything that we talked about. Start ugly, Chris Krimitsos' book, and as I'm going to say when I give my talk on Saturday, if not you, then who?
Yeah.
Promoting your podcast.
Closing statement.
I love it. Just go for your dreams. I mean, you have nothing to lose. So rock your reinvention. Come listen, and I'll help you do it.
My closing statement is everybody has 3 minutes. And I can bring that funny out of you. And I'm going to be hosting closing night, 5:30, the open mic, and have a lot of people signed up for that, and we're going to get their 3 minutes. So I'm pretty excited about that. You can find me, podbrother.com. Where can we find you?
Yeah, Instagram at Karen Freeland, Karin.
Instagram at Now Hear This Entertainment.
Instagram, Podbrother. Peace out, everybody.
Wally.
Oh, man.
Hey, we're live. Wally, what
All right,
were you
all right,
saying?
all right.
You just what? Because you were being asked about 2020.
I just had hip surgery literally 30 days ago.
Which side did they replace?
So I did the left side 30 days ago. Did the right side 5 years ago. So
Yeah,
now bionic.
I did the right side 5 years ago. I have to do the left side like now.
Let's go. I can say it to my surgeon, bro. He'll take
Is it
care
good?
of you.
Did he do interior or exterior?
So with this hip resurfacing, you can only do cut through the glutes, but he's the world's leading surgeon in hip resurfacing. So every athlete who is playing sports, he's done it, or his colleagues have done it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Wally, it's good to see you back, man.
Yeah, man.
You have so much energy, and you're so fun, and you're just an exciting cat to just observe.
Appreciate you.
Do you feel now that everybody associates you with ping pong, but once you go through 2 surgeries, don't you feel like, I want to say that you're an expert, but that you have a lot to say about hip surgeries?
I mean, I know a lot about hip surgeries because I did a lot of extensive research before I got my first surgery. So I was a guy who waited 10 years to get surgery. I was really afraid of surgery, period. And I did a lot of research, watched a lot of surgeries. And when I went in for the first time, I knew exactly what I was talking about.
Nice. How did you initially injure your hip? Sometimes it's a genetic thing, sometimes it's a sport thing. For me, it was a sport thing. I basically played baseball, softball. I played semi-pro, fast-pitch softball, and I slid into the bases too hard and jammed my hip. And so over the years, that generated the hip, and I had to replace them. What was the initial injury, or how did you?
Yeah, I think for me, I never injured my hips, but I played a lot of sports at a very high level, including table tennis, where I played all over the world for the U.S. team. It's just a lot of impact on all the sports: basketball, tennis, volleyball, wrestling, ping pong, and just wearing down my hips. You know, sports are good for you, but they're actually bad for you too.
Right.
So,
especially the high impact sports.
Yes. So, yeah, but it is what it is. Now I feel good, man. I mean, 30 days out and I can walk. It's good.
So, Podfest 2024. What's your take on it so far?
Man, I love it. Listen, I love to be here. Last year, I was the closing keynote speaker. Today, I'm also gonna speak this year, and it's such a great place, you know, to meet people, and just enjoy each other's company. Even at that, it's not only about, you know, just, you know, what can I get from this guy. It's you know, coming together and learning about each other. Like I just did a huge social media meetup where I spoke about social media and how you use social media to grow your podcast. And I had a lot of people come out, and it was just so fun talking to them. And you know, I enjoyed it. You know, of course, we don't get paid for this, but it's just so fun sharing the knowledge that we have with others.
Now, being a stand-up comic and teaching stand-up comedy, what is your take on inserting humor into your podcast, into your day, into your routine, and what it is that you do? Because every time I see you, you're laughing, you're smiling, you're joking. You know, my thing is, I had a talk today, and it's everyone has 3 minutes. What's your 3 minutes of stand-up? Where would you pull your comedy material from when you put your 3 minutes together?
Well, it depends on what I'm talking about. Like if you ever come to any of my social media meetups, it's really funny because I'm very blunt, but I make fun of the everyday things that people have problems with in social media, and I make it funny. So for me, it always depends on what kind of content I'm talking
What's an example of that, of something that you make?
So one of my favorite words to tell podcaster. so when I'm talking about social media and how they grow, my funny things are the what not to do. So I always tell podcasters, listen, I don't need to see 2 minutes or 3 minutes of your podcast on an Instagram reel or a TikTok because I frankly don't care, and no one else does either. And people laugh, but it's a truth, right? It's a truth, but it's also very funny in the way that I put it.
Right.
It's also like when podcasts go into podcasting Facebook groups, they try to promote their podcast to other podcasters, which if that's not your audience, you're wasting your time, you're wasting their time. I wonder if you can remember, because you meet so many people. Do you happen to remember how and when you first met Chris Krimitsos, who runs Podfest? Because he talks about you all the time. It's like he's your publicist.
Yeah. I actually met him through Tyler, if you know Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
So I met him through Tyler, and as New Yorkers, we just bonded immediately. He thought I was really cool. I thought he was really cool. And, you know, last year was my first year at Podfest, and it was really cool because, you know, I have a goal. Like one of my goals is really crazy. It's gonna sound crazy, but I think I'm already at that goal, and I think I'm just gonna keep pushing. I want to be the number one most interviewed person on a podcast, and I'm at 302 years, and half of those came from last year.
Wow.
Podfest.
That's awesome.
So I'm pushing.
Does that mean that somebody could invite you to their podcast and you will not say no, or are you still selective at the same
My
time?
answer to everyone is always yes. And the reason why it's yes is because I have a story to tell. And my story is highly inspirational, it's highly motivational, and it's transformational. So even if you have one listener, if that one listener can say, you know what, life isn't so bad. maybe I'm going to think a different way, then it's worth it. So that's why I tell
But
everyone
this
yes.
is interesting though, because I see a lot of guests who pitch themselves to podcasts that you could tell they've not researched that show at all. Their subject matter has nothing to do with but it sounds like you're saying you would still go on that anyways.
Yes. So I make it a rule, and this is my rule. I never, ever, ever watch a podcast before I get interviewed on it. And the reason why I don't do that is because, think about it, I've been on 300 podcasts. If I watched every podcast before I went on it, that means I would tailor what I'm going to say during the interview. And I don't want to do that. I want it to always be authentic. So if you hear me on a podcast today or a podcast tomorrow or one next year, it's always going to be a different vibe. You're always going to get something different. And that's why I think I'm able to keep getting interviewed on podcasts.
You'd also lose a lot of time if you sat there watching every single one that you're about to be interviewed.
Exactly.
But you must have mastered the art of taking a question, acknowledging it, but then putting it in the direction that you need to go to tell your story.
Yes. So that's very true. You know, like through all the podcasts I've been on, I've also mastered on how to steer a new podcaster in the right way into asking me the questions that I think their audience would actually benefit from. Because, you know, you have to start from somewhere, right? And as a new podcaster, you may not know the correct questions or how to ask those questions that may really benefit your audience. But I know because I've been on so many.
I love that. That's you being a comedian and having to respond in the moment.
Yeah.
Something that's improv.
See, I've seen your keynote speak. I was there last night or last year, and it's compelling. And it's one of those things where you just want to sit in your seat and just absorb every second of what you're saying, because it's very emotional, it's very intense, and it's very inspiring and very motivational. And I can see the approach that you take. You don't want, because you want that emotional reaction to be genuine and organic when you hear these nuggets of real life experience dropped right in front of your eyes from a human being that has such a positive outlook on life. Like, what? That happened to him and you're smiling? Like, you still got hope? And that's, to me, that's what you bring to the table with watching you, listening to you as a keynote speaker, listening to you on a podcast. As a stand-up comedian, what I find is like when I go on tour, when a comedy club books me, the comedy club will schedule an interview on the radio station because the radio station is buying advertising so that people will come to the comedy club. And so they'll have the comedian come on as part of that deal. What happens is 50% of the time, the DJ wants to be funnier than the comedian.
Oh, boy.
And it's a kiss of death because they want to hear the comedian, not the DJ. Right. So what are you doing? So what a lot of professional comedians will do, they'll be like, okay, here's a couple questions you can ask me, which leads into a bit so that you can do your comedy as part of an interview. People are laughing in their car and be like, oh, I want to go see that guy tonight. When you get a radio DJ that goes, oh, no, I don't need these preemptive questions. Let's just riff and take it off the top. Mistake. Because the comedian is going to recognize you're trying to sabotage what he's trying to do for the club that night. You're sabotaging the comedy club who's paying for the advertising. You're sabotaging the comedian who's trying to be funny and work into the set. And now you want to riff on live radio
strategy here. I'm
show
not just
you're as
coming in
funny
to be interviewed because
I eat them alive. I roast them and toast them so bad. I'm like, are you sure you want to throw these questions away? Because I'll riff with you, but it's not going to work out for you.
Okay, final minute. Go ahead. Last remarks.
In closing, what's your closing statement?
Man, my closing statement is that everyone has a story. Everyone goes through something in life. And I want to encourage every single person to always share your story, because I've proven it many times. Your stories will save lives. So I just want to leave you with that.
That's awesome. I'm going to close with comedy and humor heals all. I don't care what you're going through in this universe. If you can find levity in that drama and that tragedy, you will be okay and you will be fine. So always try to find comedy and levity, and no matter what's going on. Don't sweat the small stuff. And in comedy, it's all small stuff.
I'm going to say that everything that we're doing right now is the beauty of podcasting. It's the beauty of connecting through the OWL app. It's getting to tell these stories, and it's where we're at nowadays, that you can access his story and your story and his story and her story thanks to podcasting and being able to so intimately connect with people who think that they don't have anything to say, and all of a sudden they pour their heart out on a podcast, and it just really impacts one person, which is what we're all trying to do.
Awesome. Who's next?
Okay, you guys stay. He's out and he's in. But keep it moving.
Next person.
My dad tried to name me after himself. Paul Martin Anderson, and he wanted to name me Paulina Martina Anderson. That is funny. If I had been a boy, I would have been Hans Frederick Frederick.
Rebecca's going to join us too.
Okay, our next episode on the OWL podcast.
It's called a tag team. Tag team.
Joe, to what do we have the pleasure of meeting your acquaintance here at the OWL booth?
Yes. So I just got in from New York City. Joe Robinson. I'm the founder of Mindful Money, personal finance to people who are impacted by the criminal justice. Okay.
Wow. Don't throw that last part away. Get up on that mic. Impacted by the criminal justice system.
There's lots of people. Right.
So what are you passionate about?
I am passionate about helping primarily people impacted by the criminal justice system develop healthy attitudes, beliefs, and mindsets when it comes to money, so that they can begin to build intergenerational wealth.
$50 a day for 3 days. I'm going to get another.
How did that start for you? The passion.
Well,
were you triggered by? I mean, did something the event? happen?
Yes. No. Well, I'm just as impacted. So when I was much younger, I'm from New York City, and when I was much younger, growing up in the crack era, I went astray, got in trouble with the law, and while inside, I had plenty of time to think about how I got in trouble, what brought me there, and part of it was my relationship, my attitudes, and the way I went about.
And I would argue that makes you more of an expert. It makes you more qualified. People are going to want to listen to someone that is, been there, done that.
Yes, I've been doing it for 30 years. And they've been listening for 30 years.
Wow.
So
30 years tells me you were doing it on the radio before you were doing it as a podcast.
I was doing it on the inside while incarcerated, right?
Whoa.
I'm a self-published author.
How did you do that from the inside? Can you share?
Yeah. So this is, like I said,
only because this is a really unique, and I love this story that in the stories that are just so real.
No, it's real. Right?
And truth.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw a lot from the inside. Was it wake up?
Yeah. So like a lot of us had, light bulb moments, the epiphanies, or whatever you want to call it. And so I was in my 20s then. I'm in my 50s now, and I really just thought about the fact that I didn't want to be inside, and thought about what got me there, what types of beliefs and attitudes. People are not born to commit crimes, right? So I had to trace back and really connect the dots. And it was always money, poverty, right? My response to poverty. That's a simple way to put it. And so, like so many other people, the story is the same. And I started reading books about personal finance and entrepreneurship, and took to it readily. I was always a good, bright kid growing up. Lack of resources, and going up in the crack era, not making excuses.
No.
But, in response to that, got in a lot of trouble. And so once the light bulb went off, I was hooked. I was like, okay, I found my path. I found my passion.
But what are the mechanics, though, of actually, because it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds to me like you're saying that you were actually doing the show while you were incarcerated. Did they have broadcast facilities there, or am I misunderstanding you?
Okay, yeah. All right. No, so let me qualify. So my podcast which is new. It's just recent, right? So it's From Bars to Balance Sheets. That's the name of my podcast.
It's a clever name.
And so long before there were podcasts that existed, I was teaching personal finance and entrepreneurship on the inside. And I've been home 7 years. So this is only 7 years of my launching my own business, right? And doing a whole bunch of other things. And most of the other time was on the inside.
Wow. I just love this story. I mean, it just gives people inspiration that you can do anything. And I'm going to ask you a question that maybe no one has asked.
Okay.
Give me, if you can, 3 good things. I mean, we already know the one. 3 good things that happened to you while you're
inside.
Inside.
Yeah, inside, right. This is my life. One, and I can tell you.
I'm only going to say this because the world says, went to jail, went to prison, something's wrong. No, find what's good in whatever situation you are in.
I want to give him a minute to think of his answer because I want to compliment you on the question, because I admire that he could have sat there and felt sorry for himself and said, I guess I just have to sit here till my sentence is over. And instead he decided, I'm going to make something positive out of this, and I'm going to apply myself to learn not only what he learned, but then take it afterwards and say, now I'm going to move forward with this. So what 3 of you come up with?
I appreciate that. I'm gonna say to that point, I'll just say briefly, my mom passed away in 2019, but I credit my mother for that. I have to say that she instilled really good self-esteem and confidence in me since I was a child. So I have to say that, right? But to answer your question, 3 things. One, I met my wife while inside today, and it's crazy as it sounds, it's actually our anniversary. She was like, no, you go. 19 years of marriage. I met her.
Wow.
She's New York Times, worked at the New York Times for 31 years, retired, the whole thing. She could have chosen anyone else, right? But she married me, right?
One thing I know about your wife, she ain't stupid.
Right, she ain't stupid, exactly. So one thing is I met my wife. 2 is I found my passion, right? And 3, I did a lot of good stuff, meaning in terms of impacting people's lives in a positive way. And that means a lot to me. That means a lot to me. So
I'm being influenced by Rebecca being a happiness specialist. I wonder if when you were inside, if you saw the conscious decision that there is for inmates to woe is me and feel sorry for themselves versus, oh, I'm in here, but that doesn't mean I can't make a positive out of it. Did you see that at the time?
When you say I see, well, I'm not sure if I understand. So I've saw people who think similar to me who said, I'm going to take lemons and turn into lemonades. Most of them are my friends. Then I saw people who, became institutionalized and bought into all the negative kind of messages that you get while inside from staff and from your peers. So I saw a little bit of all of that.
Let's go back to your podcast. How often does it come out, and is it just solo or do you do interviews?
So I haven't actually launched this iteration of it yet. It's going to start next month, again, from bars to balance sheets, and it's going to be once a week. And it's going to do both, but mostly me interviewing someone, right? I'm a people person. So I like, I don't want to just me talking to a screen.
Like
right?
I do.
I'm old school, so I like to talk to people and not screens.
Like I do.
Okay. Yeah. So which is fine. I can do that, but I prefer to talk to people.
So what's the most common question that you get when people hear what your area of expertise is? I'm sure they ask you for help right away. Is it everybody wants to know about credit cards? Is it everybody wants to know about getting out of it? What is the most common question that people say? If you don't mind my asking a little bit of help, what is it?
Yeah, credit cards is one of the top ones, but another one is just like, I have $500. What should I invest in now? And I can't legally just give people advice. I do suggest that they look at like S&P 500 index funds, something that's relatively safe. And I say relatively, but yeah, I usually say start there as opposed to like individual stocks or anything like that. But credit is also another one that's important.
I've been in podcasting too long. My wheels are turning and thinking he's going to have a disclaimer on his show that says, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a certified financial planner. Please seek professional, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Okay. Okay.
So I have a question for you. Another question. What are 3 of the biggest challenges or problems that you see people having with money? What are they?
The first, and this goes for anyone, and most people, to be honest, because they don't teach personal finance in this country, which I think is kind of just like mind-boggling. But the first thing is mindset. Everything starts with mindset. I have a 3-tier framework that I use in teaching personal finance. It's mindfulness, mindset, and it's an ownership mindset, not just any mindset, because most of us have a consumer mindset because that's what is promoted. So it's mindfulness, mindset, and then money management, right? So that's kind of like my pyramid. That's the way I approach this. But what's the question again?
The question is, what are the the biggest issues that you find with when somebody comes to you? What, in other words, the most common?
So mindset is first. And when I say mindset specifically, I think some people, to your point, I think some people believe that like they don't deserve to have wealth or money.
That they're
right?
a victim of their circumstances.
Victim of
Somebody
their
else is the
circumstance.
reason that they're in trouble.
Right. So
financially.
that's part of it. Then another thing is people think you need a lot of money to get started. And the third thing, which is related, is that they think that it's difficult to get started. And all those things are false.
Yes.
Right. So that's the irony of it. And unfortunately, though, it stops people from moving ahead, meaning from doing anything. And as a result, then the cycle of poverty continues. So that's how
I love how passionate you are about
I'm
all
very
this.
passionate.
But I wonder, when you push all this aside, what do you enjoy that has nothing to do with what we're talking about?
What I enjoy doing, among other things, is reading. I love to read. I was a reader since I was a kid. I read probably over 1,000 books while I was inside, literally. So I love to read and I love to travel. I'm from New York City. I'm in Orlando. Haven't been down here in a long time, so it's good to be back. So I love to travel.
Nobody had to twist your arm to
No.
make this trip.
Read. If I can sit on the beach and read a book in Puerto Rico or something like that, I can do that for the rest of my life.
So I have a really difficult question.
Let's go there.
Ready?
Let's go.
Put your seatbelt on.
Let's go.
Crash helmet too.
Okay. Well, I have my hat on. So.
What if you didn't have any money?
That's why I said mindset is critical. It's bigger than money. That's what I learned. Right? I mean, seriously, it is big. You can put me or anybody who has the right mindset. You can put them anywhere. You can get the money because
That's
at the end of
the choir right there, and you're preaching to the choir.
At the end of the day, it is about providing value to other people. That's simple. It has nothing to do with money. People show their appreciation through money. Money is just like a means. It's
Money
just
is energy. And where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Mindful Money LLC. Facebook, same thing. You can go to my website, mindfulmoneyllc.com.
Rebecca, other than the OWL app, where should people go to find you?
Well, it's not about me today, is it, Bruce? Is it? They can find me. They'll find me.
I will put in a shameless plug and say, find me on Instagram at
Find
Now Hear
me-
This Entertainment.
Just Google Rebecca Norrington. I am the Global Happiness Specialist
And of course, on the OWL app.
on
Thank
the
you.
OWL app.
Thank you. Great.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I don't mind. I like working with him. He's good. I like working with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just, you know what?
All right.
If we had a timer, like the 2 minutes.
How you doing?
Good. Bruce, Seth Ryan, nice to meet you. I'm here.
Oh, look at this.
You got
Hello.
me.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Seth
to the-
Ryan is our
Ryan.
guest.
Yes.
Hello, Seth Ryan.
How are you?
I'm doing well. now.
I'm getting intimidated because you have an official looking shirt on that I'm wondering, is it
Yeah,
legit or
it is.
Now you're supposed to tell me, oh, somebody better not be wearing this shirt if it's not legit.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah,
everyone
you better
watching
not,
what
you
your
better
shirt
not wear
says.
a Baghdad Embassy shirt unless you bought it at the embassy. So
Wow. And Rebecca, I'm nervous to ask him questions now.
I'm not.
Seeing
I'm
a
not
shirt
nervous.
that
Not at all.
says
I'm
U.S.
not
Embassy
nervous.
Baghdad.
I'm a new dad. I spend most of my time cooing at my son and making funny faces.
Good. Okay, Seth.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about?
Oh, there's so many things.
Give
but
me
my-
your top 3.
My focus is ending school shootings in America. So that's my number one. So that is school to embassy project. I want our schools to be more like our embassies. No one ever thinks of bringing a gun into an embassy for a very good reason.
Nicely said. It's a nice analogy.
My son is IVF. 7 months will be the third of this coming month. And literally the realization that people send their children to school and then their kids don't come home. That's what I'm passionate about.
I can feel that. I felt
Yeah.
you on that one.
Yeah, I feel it right
Yeah,
here
I could
in
feel
my
it.
throat. This
So-
is,
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to come in with
No,
heavy
that's
material.
good.
Sorry.
We go in, we go deep.
Here's the
literal life.
rough part of it is if you do the best job in the world, no one's going to thank you and you won't get an award because nothing happened.
That's one of those jobs that you want that to happen.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that my podcast will eventually end and that they won't need it anymore because we don't have school shootings.
So this is your podcast topic?
This is my podcast topic. Yep.
The title of your podcast, how often does it come out? How long have you been doing it?
I'm literally just starting right now. Like,
Congratulations.
I'm here to this because I found out about this. And so I'm focused on doing a podcast on that topic. I just got my logos and all of that. So I'm honestly just learning everything here as a
So
sponge.
is episode 1 out yet?
Is not. As soon as I've already recorded one episode, I have some retired FBI agents that I already have on the hook.
Wow.
We're going to do all that, but I want to make sure and do it right. And I'm getting all that.
Rebecca, I like that. I like his vision where he's
Absolutely.
going to go with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
100%.
I actually, my best friend is a retired dignitary protection officer, so
Okay.
I could hook you up with him if you needed more
Absolutely.
resources.
I probably know people in this circle. I'm sure we're probably already connected
Okay.
through people online, but I'll definitely take it.
And what is the name of your podcast?
So I'm probably going to do 2 because it's going to be hard for me to get the subject matter experts on a regular basis. I'm going to be very careful as to who I bring on to mine. So that's STEP, School to Embassy Project. The second one will be focused on, it will be called On Switch. That's kind of a joke because my parents said that when I was born, the doctor slapped me and it broke my on switch. It broke the switch on the on position. Well, the funny thing is when I told my wife that I wanted to have a podcast called On Switch Broken, her and every female thought in their mind that meant that the switch was broken, but the switch was not on. It
In
was
the off position, yeah.
And every guy that I told that same thing to, on switch broken, thought it was on and it was broken on and
But
stuck
that's
in
a
on
good
position.
that's a good lesson in beta testing
Yeah.
names. I mean, I always tell on anyone watching who is considering starting a podcast, this sounds so fundamental, but it shocks me at how many people don't think to just go on. And by the way, I say the world's largest search engine because if I say the G word, my phone perks up and waits for me to ask it. Go on the world's largest search engine, type in what you think the name of your podcast is going to be. Go on Apple Podcasts, go on Spotify, and look and see if someone's already using it. But you're bringing a great case study here of testing and asking people. I'm thinking of starting a podcast. This is what I'm coming up with as a name. What do you think that means?
100%.
And there's also an argument to be made for if you have to ask someone that, well, then
Yeah.
maybe you already know your answer. That
Right.
shouldn't be the name of your podcast.
Right. But I learned that lesson, and that's why I went with on switch. Is I can pivot it to what's yours? What's your on switch? My very first interview for that podcast is a guy who lost 300 pounds, no surgery, no medication, no anything, just 500 pounds, lost
Wow.
300 pounds.
Wow.
And he just happens to work out at my gym, and I saw him and was like, hey, I saw his picture in the paper. I go introduce myself. He's in my living room that week.
Wow.
So that's, that the number of people that I have in Tampa and the number of connections that I have already through the military and law enforcement communities, which I've been a part of both. It's just such a plethora here in Tampa and in the, Central Florida region.
Do you remember exactly when you decided I have to do something about this?
I could say looking at my son, and I remember pulling up. I was going over these types of topics I wanted to start a podcast for. What are you passionate about? I'm like, well, I can talk about shooting guns. I can talk about all this stuff that everybody else can already talk about. What makes you different? I'm like, man, I'm not sure. And then somebody sent me a message on LinkedIn and said, I saw that I haven't talked to you in 6 months, but somebody asked me if I knew somebody who would be good at talking about active shooter. And I immediately thought of you. From there, I immediately set up a call. I negotiated a price and then went and spoke to the Hernando County school board, to members of the school board, not all of them, and gave them a presentation. They loved it, and they're bringing me back in July for a security summit, as I understand it now. And that really just, right, what, instead of you trying to figure out what you're known for, when somebody else reaches out and says, this is what I know you for, it automatically made me think, why did I not think of that? I come from law enforcement. I come from federal law enforcement. I've been through the Federal Law Enforcement Academy. I've done all these cool things. And the one thing that I could tie it all together is really securing a school. It's, if you've lived at an embassy that's been under attack and the gates were burned down, because I was there for that in January 1st of 2020, and then lived at the embassy through all of 2020. I understand the basics of securing a school, and I understand the complicated, multifaceted difficulties that goes into this, and I'm not taking this lightly. So I'm reading every book. I'm listening to every podcast. So I'm not going to just stand around and puff my chest and think that I have all the answers, because it's complicated.
We have to wrap this up, but I want to compliment him on the lesson that he just gave that the audience might have missed, which was, you said there were other things that I could have done that everybody else is already doing.
Exactly.
It's like when I first met Rebecca, I thought, why are there not more happiness specialists? We need more of this.
We do.
And I'm meeting Rebecca and I'm thinking, this is the first happiness specialist I've met. And the same thing with yourself. You said, I could do all these other things, but everybody else is already talking about that. So congratulations for recognizing that. And I'll say having the courage to step forward and say, I'm going to do the one that might not have been my first choice.
I have to admit, my wife probably is the one who told me that. Yeah, you should think about this. And I'm like,
So how can people find you? Because we're going to.
So I'm starting the Step podcast, and that's going to be on my LinkedIn profile initially. I'm still building the website and all that.
And your name again, spell everything.
Is Seth, Seth, last name Ryan, Ryan. And again, the Step, STEP, School to Embassy Project.
Wonderful to meet you. Best of luck with it.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you for introducing yourself. That's how I ended up over here. God bless.
You need to come to our monthly Florida podcast.
I do. I need to find out about where it is.
Second Tuesday of the month. We meet at the IHOP that's over by the airport.
So my buddy went to those. He told me about that, but he said reach out to you. He wasn't able to be here.
6:30, second Tuesday of every month.
You want? Yeah, somebody else? You want someone else in? Okay.
Thanks. I appreciate you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sitting here. Do you got any caffeine for me? Danielle?
We are live.
Hello. Hi, guys. Hi. Hi. I'm so excited to meet you. Your name is?
My name is Marcy.
Marcy. Hi, Marcy.
Hi.
Hi.
So I am an intuitive speech pathologist.
All right.
And that means that I help parents teach their children to talk, children who are not speaking or not speaking well yet. Parents are the best facilitators. So I equip and empower parents to teach their kids to talk faster than speech therapy.
Okay, that's amazing. And what age do you start?
It doesn't matter. They can start at 18 months usually, because
Yeah.
that's when we expect kids to start to say things. But the mission, the message that I'm sharing at currently is my main thing, is this topic of what I'm calling virtual autism. And I'm not the only one that's calling it that. The reality is that the vast majority of children who are not talking well yet have had more video exposure.
Oh, I am
than
so
they
on
have
that
had
page with you.
parent
Right,
exposure,
right, yeah.
especially, and it started very early. So before one, when they couldn't even hold the phone, it was propped in front of them while
It's
people were
so true,
feeding.
right?
Or when and as soon as they got to be able to hold it, then they became in control. And see what that did too was that changed the mindset of the child. Instead of my mom or my dad is the one that's teaching me what I need in life.
And now the phone is teaching them what
now
they need.
it's Bluey or Peppa
We
Pig.
have a
or-
generation that is
they're
being
their best
parented
friends
by
They're-
the
and
phone.
they don't know how to make eye contact with their friends. They don't know how to talk yet. And they're not prepared to go to school and see all the pandemic kids. See, this was always a problem before the
But
pandemic.
you have to get this out because this needs parents need to hear this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And that's why I'm here, because I do. And this problem is happening across all countries, across all socioeconomic, across all cultures,
So scary.
across all languages.
It's so scary.
even.
I
Yeah.
mean, think about how these kids are going to raise their kids because they don't know how they haven't been parenting and you only know what you know.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
And,
That's
they're-
exactly true. They only know what they know. And if they are in control of what they're exposed to because they're just watching the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Because and YouTube facilitates that. They see you like
it's a
you
scare-
like
I'm
you like
scared
Baby
for our
Shark.
future.
You're gonna get this version of Baby Shark and that version of Baby Shark. And then when the kids learn, they're hackers. They're little hackers, right? Instead of learning to be intuitively connected and cooperative learning experiences like children on their mom's hip learned how cooking works. They learned that they can't touch the hot stove, or they watch their mom
not
cut
learning
herself.
skills.
They're not learning anything. And so it was denormalized. See, during the pandemic, the society took it away.
Yeah.
They couldn't take their kid to the park, the grocery store, anywhere, or the daycare center,
Right.
and parents were distracted. So that's my mission.
So
is that
tell
parents
me, do you go into homes? Do you do it virtual?
So that's it. Yeah, I'm reaching parents through my YouTube channel and my podcast. It's called Waves of Communication. And my podcast is called the Language Facilitation Helpline. And so every week, see, it takes parents a few exposures to really buy into the idea, especially with parent themselves being hooked on the short form content, right?
And are you educating the parents then at that time that this is an issue?
Yeah,
How much
so
time does your kid spend on their cell phone?
Exactly. My recommendation first is they're all worried because they've taken their kid to the doctor, and the doctor is asking the questions: is your child looking at me? Is your child responding to their name? Are they
this is
following
amazing.
directions?
I really
and
do.
the parent says no, because the child is addicted to the phone and they haven't taught those skills. And so now they say, well, your child has autism, but they don't have autism.
I
They
have a
just
question.
have developmental delay. Yeah.
I have a question. So can you share with us some of your success stories?
Yeah. So my first one, when I first started doing this, I had my own little imposter syndrome, and I was like, how can I get a parent? I used to work with the kid myself, and I could get him to do things because I'm the skilled therapist, right? But suddenly I have moms of kids 4.5 years old with autism, true autism, that are saying nothing but old McDonald, and screaming at the store. So this mom, she had been through therapy for years, started working with me within 4 days because the child was already 4.5 and had been listening to a lot of video stuff and people talking, but not really processing and using it.
Right.
But when the parents started becoming what I call a facilitator, instead of a therapist or a demander or a controller, they became a facilitator of the experience. So this mom, her biggest problem was the store. She couldn't take her kid into the store without screaming through the whole thing. 4 days in, she takes her kid to the store. It's so calm. She labels 13 items she wants at the store. This child who was saying only old McDonald, 13 new vocabulary words the mom never heard. And the woman who checked them out, who recognized this family as, oh no, this is the one coming with the screaming kid, said, wow, you guys are having a nice situation today. You're having a good day. The lady at the grocery recognized the change in this child.
I want to hear another story. I want to hear another section because you just lit up. Your whole energy shifted. I want to hear another success story, please.
So again, that's a child with true autism, because there are kids that really, really have these delays, and that's how impactful parents can be. Now you've got a child that doesn't have a delay. I mean, they have a delay, but they don't have a disorder. And these kids are, again, 4 years old, never did anything, have been to all the therapies for years and years of therapies or months and months of therapies. And then the parents like, I just want my kid to say mama. I just
Right.
want them to ask me. I just want them to connect with me. I just want them to whatever. And those moms come back and they are telling me stories of how their household is happy. Their kid is connected. They used to be trying to find their kid in the house, and now their kid is completely attached to their hip because they have proven, this parent has proven in 1 week's time that they are a better source of learning and fun than Peppa Pig.
You know, I'm feeling this, and I could almost break down crying. So I can imagine how you feel when
It's really emotional. I don't get emotional thinking about it. These parents are so stuck in worry and fear and guilt and blame that they're distracted by those emotions to the point where they can't connect. They don't feel like they can connect with their kids. So on my platform, I make it easy. I give them super, super easy tools like just start talking more slowly.
I was going to ask you.
Just
give us some
talk
examples.
slowly and just change your speech a little bit. And then start to really see when you ask your child to do something like take off their shoes or brush their teeth or come to the table and eat, that you see that request from the child's perspective. Are you asking them to do a 180 shift? Because if you're busy writing a report for your work or watching a video or something that you're fully engrossed in, then somebody says, you've got to put that down and come over here and do work that you aren't really interested in. How often are you going to take that opportunity? But my philosophy, 2 philosophies. Number 1, parents are the first and best facilitators of their child's developmental
Absolutely.
experience.
I agree with you 100%.
And if it isn't fun, it isn't fun.
I thought you were going to say, if it isn't fun, it ain't going to get done.
Well, that's true too. But if it isn't fun, it isn't fun. I've said that to my kids growing up. I was a single mom, and there's no excuse for you to not to do this. I can make it so easy that you do it while you don't have to do anything extra. You do it while you're bathing your kid, while you're you're already doing these things. You're already taking them to the store. Why don't you make it an experience?
How many days a week do you recommend?
Every day,
Every day.
2 or 3 hours a day. And I wrote a workbook to help parents plan their itinerary, plan their strategies, decide how they're going to do, because all they have to do is decide. I'm going to, for a week, focus 150% on bath time. And by the time a week's over and bath time is now 500 times better than it was a week ago, because you're facilitating and join, and you're not just leaving your kid on the device while you go and fill up the bathtub and say, come have a bath. You're saying, it's bath time. Let's go get your pajamas. Let's find your towel. Let's get your toys. Here's how you turn the faucet. Here's how you test it to make sure if it's that temperature you want. And you do all that with the child. And see, because you're teaching and you're saying language and you're using full sentences and using grammatical structures instead of, if you want cookie, say cookie, 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 cookie. Now you're using full sentences with explanations of why and how. We have to test the water. It's going to be too hot. You'll burn yourself. And the kid learns. And they're not just learning language. They're learning reality and function and how things work in the world. This is the parent's job. You don't have to teach them algebra. You just have to teach them language. And then they can go anywhere and learn algebra.
Right. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank
That
you
is
so much for
very
having me.
interesting.
Any opportunity I have to share this
Marcy
message,
on
you can find them on wavesofcommunication.com. Every Thursday at 11, I do live. So even
Thursday at
parents can
11.
comment.
Okay.
Parents can comment, parents can respond, they can ask questions. And I talk about topics that parents are facing.
Right. Great.
Okay.
Thank you so
One
much.
thing, every Thursday, what time zone?
11 a.m. Eastern time.
Thank you. Okay, good. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. You
much,
did a great
ladies.
job.
I appreciate you. I have been talking about this for a long time. So.
Oh, switcheroo.
Did you download the app? Did you sign up?
I did over the thing that all that.
You did a great job.
Right? No, you got to download it too. Make sure you download the app.
Okay. Download the app. Right.
Yep,
And
and
then
get it
it's
to
easy.
100%. We got you.
Okay.
It's free to download. We got
All right.
you.
I'm going right now.
Right.
You're going to interview it too?
Come on, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Come on.
All right.
Let's talk.
I've been driving for like 3 hours.
We're live. We're going to talk about shrooms.
Hello,
Is that what we're going to do right now? We're going to talk about mushrooms.
Ooh, what about mushrooms?
What about mushrooms?
All about mushrooms. Mushrooms have the ability to reprogram your brain, heal your heart, heal everything in your body. Not everything, I don't know. But
Well, educate me because I'm not aware of this. I would love to know about mushrooms.
And I just know about them from college days. So
okay, college days, yes. Not quite like that, but okay, so let me I'll tell you about me.
Okay.
I'm from South Carolina. Both of my parents are botanists. They're undergraduate in botany, and I was born when they were still in college. So we were looking in the woods every weekend for naming the genus and the species of the plants. So I learned to love nature. And one day my mom dropped me off late for school, and I had to run through the woods to get to school. And I looked down and I saw this little purple and pink mushroom, and I picked it up and I was looking at it. It was beautiful. Smelled it. It smelled so bad, like a dead rat. Dropped it, went to class, asked my teacher if I could go wash my hands, which I did, and I couldn't get the smell off all day. It was putrid. And it branded my brain because all day I was just like, and so that I became infatuated and fascinated by mushrooms. And I did my high school project on psilocybin mushrooms. I had never done mushrooms before, but I was just interested. I was so interested. I felt like it was my calling. So where do I start? I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. And when I was in school, I found out about a lot of plant medicines. Ayahuasca, iboga, mushrooms, psilocybin, things that could change your brain permanently from one experience. And I got very interested in it and started growing mushrooms in my back room without telling anybody. I probably did it by myself without telling anybody except for this one girl right here. Actually, one girl. 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Nobody did that 13 years ago, but I was going to figure out how to do it. So I did a lot of research and I figured it out. And I've never sold a mushroom. I'm not a drug dealer. I do it just for
She's not a
brain
drug
growth.
dealer,
I'm
okay,
not a
y'all?
drug dealer. I've never sold
She's
them.
not a drug dealer.
medicine.
Yeah, it is a medicine. And I'm working with some people who are doctors.
Okay.
And doing psychedelic research.
Mhm.
So I'm helping provide for a company that.
So I have an invitation for you. So
Okay.
you know I podcast as well.
You do?
Yes. So I wanna talk more about that mushroom because you just educated me a lot in a little second. I know we didn't talk long, but I want to know more about it. And I know a lot of other people would like to know
I want to tell
like
the world.
the health benefits of mushrooms. And I think, once we learn, we can move forward in a better and more educated fashion.
Sure. And in the 70s, mushrooms was classified as a class 1 narcotic, and they couldn't do any more research. They were doing a lot of research on it in the 70s.
Well, the Indians used to use mushrooms.
they
Native American people.
I mean, from the beginning, they
Rituals,
think that's how it helped people evolve, and change, and it still does that. So hopefully we can bring that back and use it in the right way.
Yeah.
And not abuse it like they did in the 70s. And, but I think it's coming like a freight train. And it is legal in some states and they're decriminalized in a lot of others. And hopefully here soon.
Is it legal in Florida?
No.
Not yet. Okay. Not yet.
Not yet. But
Where is it legal?
MAP is Oregon. It's decriminalized in a lot of places.
I think everything is legal in Oregon.
I think it is too,
In
right?
Seattle.
Probably,
California.
You're probably right about that. But so it is legal for testing now, and there's a company called MAP that's doing a lot of testing. You might want to invest in their stock because it's coming like a freight train.
You know what I find interesting? Some things, hint, alcohol maybe. Some things that they legalize that should be illegal,
Right.
But then some things that are illegal that should be legal because they do have health benefits. I'm like, how did they get this so wrong? I always question that a
Pharmaceutical
lot.
industry.
Right.
That's
where
the
they
pharmaceutical industry.
manufacture.
That's it. Yes. Okay, so we're done.
Yeah, so we can continue
We're
this
going.
conversation
Yes,
tomorrow. Y'all want to know more
We're gonna-
mushroom talk? Come and tune in tomorrow.
We're going to be on mushrooms.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Signing off. Yeah, we're gonna